Chapter 31, A True Couple. The next day at noon, Chi Xiaoxiao arrived early at Xuejieqi's place, ready to try Li Dong's cooking. Where's your man? Chi Xiaoxiao asked with a smile, not seeing Li Dong as soon as she entered the room. He's running his last delivery, and will be back in half an hour or so. Lying on the sofa, Xuejieqi looked lazy and like a Persian cat. Your man is really a model worker. He drives an online car hailing service in the morning, works at a barbecue stall in the evening, and cooks for you 3 meals a day. Why can't I meet a good man like that? Chi Xiaoxiao asked, sitting down next to Xuejieqi. There are a few good-looking owners in the food street, so why don't I ask Li Dong to ask them for you? Xuejieqi teased. Cut it out. By the way, did you try what I told you yesterday? Chi Xiaoxiao asked with a wicked smile. No. Xuejieqi's face inexplicably turned red. Really? Chi Xiaoxiao asked suspiciously. Really? Li Dong came home a little late yesterday, and I was already asleep when he finished washing up. Xuejieqi said. Okay, I still want to ask how you feel, so let me know after you have practiced. Chi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. Xiaoxiao, you are more experienced, tell me what it felt like when you did that. Xuejieqi asked embarrassed. Hey, what do you mean I'm experienced? Don't slander me, or I'll sue you for defamation. Chi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes, saying, What kind of foul language is that? Don't interrupt, tell me about it. Xuejieqi asked curiously. She was dazed that night at the hotel and had no idea what it felt like. Later, after she got pregnant and moved in with Li Dong, they couldn't do it again, so she was quite curious. But it wasn't appropriate to ask anyone else, so Chi Xiaoxiao was the only one who could give her a scientific explanation. How should I put it? It's like... Chi Xiaoxiao thought for a moment and whispered in Xuejieqi's ear. Before she could finish her sentence, Xuejieqi's pretty face turned red again. It's hard to explain this kind of thing, you'll know when you experience it for yourself. Chi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes. Just as they were talking about Li Dong, he returned. Oh, Teacher Chi is here. Li Dong greeted with a smile. Yes, your teacher Xue has praised your cooking skills to the heavens, and I'm here today to find out if it's true. Chi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. Teacher Xue probably exaggerated a bit, and there's an added reason for her status, so you shouldn't have too many expectations. Li Dong said with a smile. We'll know if it's exaggeration after we try it. Let's see what kind of cooking skills have made Jieqi grow plump and healthy. Chi Xiaoxiao said with a smile, and took the opportunity to squeeze Jieqi Xue's perky buttocks. Wait a moment, have some fruit to tide you over. Li Dong said with a smile, and then went into the kitchen. How's the installation of your new house going? Chi Xiaoxiao asked as she took a bite of the apple. The plumbing and electrical wiring are done, the walls have been painted, and the floors are being laid. Some of the custom-made furniture has already been made, and the rest is being rushed. Xuejieqi said with a smile. That's pretty fast. Watching your love nest being completed day by day, doesn't it give you a sense of anticipation? Chi Xiaoxiao asked with a smile. Well, it's like this little life in my stomach, feeling her grow day by day, it's very fulfilling. Xuejieqi said, gently touching her belly. By the way, have you found out if it's a boy or a girl? Chi Xiaoxiao asked, glancing at Li Dong, who was busy in the kitchen. No, Li Dong said it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. Xuejieqi smiled. Well, when it's 2 years old and can walk, we'll have another child, so the two of them can keep each other company. Chi Xiaoxiao smiled. We'll see, the first child is still early, and the second child is even further away. Xuejieqi smiled. She had asked Li Dong about having a second child, and he had said that he would do whatever she wanted, that they could have a second child if she wanted, or not have one if she didn't, and that he would never pressure her or treat her like a breeding machine. It smells so good, it seems like Li Dong really knows what he's doing. Chi Xiaoxiao wrinkled her nose and sniffed twice, saying, I'm just afraid that once you've tried it, you won't want to leave, and you'll just keep eating here every day. Xuejieqi teased. So, do you welcome it? I can sleep on the floor in your room, Chi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. There's also a bedroom, you can sleep in the second bedroom, Xuejieqi said puzzled. That would be so boring. If I sleep on the floor in the master bedroom, I can help push your bottom when you're doing it with Li Dong, Chi Xiaoxiao whispered in Xuejieqi's ear. Yuck! Xuejieqi's face flushed red. Unconsciously, she associated the scene in her mind, which was simply too hot for the eyes. Okay, 2 beautiful teachers, dinner is ready. Li Dong laughed as he came out of the kitchen, carrying 2 bowls of rice noodles. Juchi, when did you start using such big bowls for dinner? Can you finish it all? Shi Xiaoxiao asked curiously, looking at the 2 bowls in front of her, one big and one small. You ask him. Shui Juchi laughed and pointed at Li Dong. Since eating my cooking, Mr. Shui's appetite has increased significantly. Li Dong said with a smile. Wow, it tastes really good. Juchi wasn't exaggerating, but rather being a bit conservative. It really is better than the food at the restaurant in Beimen. Shi Xiaoxiao said happily. Nothing makes her happier than discovering good food. The bowl is full of ingredients, with meat and vegetables, a good mix of meat and vegetables, as well as corn and soybeans, a good mix of coarse and fine grains. It is delicious, appetizing, and nutritionally balanced. Is there more in the kitchen? Shi Xiaoxiao asked while eating. It was really delicious, and one bowl was simply not enough. No wonder Shui Juchi had switched to a bigger bowl, such delicious rice must be eaten in large quantities. Yes, eat your heart out, and if you really can't manage it, you can loosen your belt a little, Li Dong teased. Teacher Shui, this is the good student you taught, and he dares to flirt with his teacher. In ancient times, this would be enough to be beheaded. Shi Xiaoxiao took a sip of the soup. Oh my, it was so delicious she almost let out a cry of joy. You also taught him, so you are also responsible. Shui Juchi said with a smile. Fine. Chef Li, give me another bowl, I'm not full. Shi Xiaoxiao was sweating from eating, and she slumped unceremoniously in her chair, in no way looking like a teacher. Let's get one thing straight, I'm not responsible if you get sick from overeating. Li Dong said with a smile. I'm not responsible if you get fat. Shui Juchi added. You two are a perfect match, ganging up on me. Shi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes. Chapter 32, Drama Queen Shi Xiaoxiao. I said, slow down, no one is fighting with you, and you can stay here for dinner tonight, so you can have another meal. Shui Juchi looked at Shi Xiaoxiao, who looked like she hadn't eaten in a few days, and said with a smile. Not just tonight, I announce that I will live here from now on, and I will eat whatever you eat, I won't be picky. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a smile, and choked because she hadn't swallowed the rice noodles in her mouth. Cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. That's it. Shui Juchi said with a sneer. Oh, Kiki, you've changed. You didn't used to treat me like this. Ever since you got a man, you've become increasingly impatient with me. Once upon a time, we slept in the same bed, went to the toilet and took showers together, and we were infatuated with each other. Now you're so heartless. Li Dong, you see, this woman is like this, always changing her mind and forgetting the old for the new. Shi Xiaoxiao put one hand on her chest and said in a heartbroken manner. Keep acting, let us see your acting skills and talent. Shui Juchi smiled and said. You wish, they won't even pay me an appearance fee, just do a little acting, and you're already hooked. Shi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes, continued eating the rice noodles, taking a bite and a drink, it was so nourishing. Daughter-in-law, do you want more? Li Dong asked, looking at Shui Juchi. I don't want any more, I'm full from eating these, Shui Juchi said with a smile. What are we having for dinner? Shi Xiaoxiao asked with a smile after finishing the last mouthful of soup. What's wrong, are you going to order something else? Li Dong asked with a smile. Is that okay? Shi Xiaoxiao asked with a sad face. Seeing the once solemn teacher Qi in private actually look like such a quirky person was a real eye-opener. She was practically a drama queen. Yes. Li Dong nodded with a smile. Then I want to eat yellow stewed chicken with rice. The rice should be soft, the chicken thoroughly stewed, and slightly spicy, because I've been a bit irritable lately. Shi Xiaoxiao said. No rice, Juchi needs to drink soup tonight. Li Dong shook his head to indicate that it was not possible. Then how about preserved egg and lean pork congee, some fried beef, and a side dish? Shi Xiaoxiao said after thinking for a moment. You really don't consider yourself an outsider. We don't have any preserved eggs at home, I can't eat that. Shui Juchi said with a smile. Then let's have lean pork congee, I haven't had any in a long time. Shi Xiaoxiao pouted. Don't look at me, it's not like I'm cooking. Shui Juchi teased. Shi Xiaoxiao looked at Li Dong again and made a bow with her hands. Okay, no problem. Li Dong said with a smile. After lunch, it was time to rest. Li Dong took out a new set of bedding from the closet and asked Shi Xiaoxiao to sleep in the second bedroom. Honey, Xiaoxiao is just like this, don't you find her annoying? After lying down in bed, Shwejiachi looked at Li Dong and smiled. How could I? In fact, I like people with this kind of personality. They are easygoing, don't hold grudges, and are very relaxed. Li Dong smiled. Then he realized something was wrong. Shwejiachi looked at him with a somewhat unkind expression and asked with a smile, Honey, do you like Xiao Xiao? Hey, don't frame the innocent. I was talking about her personality. You little jealous pot, is it time to clean up again? Li Dong had a lewd expression on his face, and he squeezed Jiaqi's perky butt with one hand, which was full of flesh. Shwejiachi has the standard kind of peachy butt, with the perfect waist-to-hip ratio. It looks especially seductive when worn in tight pants, such as jeans, and is very damaging to Li Dong. Whatever, you don't clean me up every day, I'm not afraid of you, Shwejiachi said coquettishly. With the conversation at this point, Li Dong would be a coward if he remained indifferent. He picked up the pretty woman's chin and kissed her overpoweringly, ignoring Shwejiachi's symbolic struggles as he kissed her recklessly. Shwejiachi closed her eyes and immersed herself in the world of the two of them, and her heart gradually grew hot. I don't know how long it was, Shwejiachi tried hard to open her eyes and looked at Li Dong, blushing and saying, Husband, are you very? No, it's okay. Li Dong lied with his eyes open, he was about to go crazy, but the situation didn't allow it now. You're lying, you're definitely not telling the truth. Shwejiachi said coquettishly. Hey, just go to sleep. Li Dong smiled embarrassedly. Li Dong rolled over and lay flat, getting ready to sleep, but as soon as he closed his eyes, he noticed something was wrong. Daughter-in-law, you've worked hard. Li Dong said moodily in Shwejiachi's ear. You're a big bad guy. Shwejiachi said with a blush. There's nothing I can do about it. You're just too attractive, and I can't resist. Li Dong said with a smile, pinching Shwejiachi's face. You can say that now, but maybe you won't think so after I give birth. Shwejiachi pouted. Why? Li Dong asked, puzzled. After giving birth, your figure will change, you'll even get stretch marks and spots, and if it's a natural birth, you'll become even looser. Shwejiachi's voice grew quieter as she spoke, because she was really worried that would happen. Now she has come to regard Li Dong from the bottom of her heart as her husband, someone she is going to spend the rest of her life with. But once her appearance and figure deteriorate, will Li Dong still be as infatuated with her as he is now? She is unsure and has no confidence. Silly, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Didn't I say the other day that I like your figure, temperament, personality, conversation, gentleness, kindness, cuteness, etc., and that figure only accounts for a very small part? Even as we get to know each other, appearance will become less and less important, and inner beauty will become more and more important. You know that, silly? Li Dong said with a smile. Nice words, but who knows? After hearing Li Dong's words, Shwejiachi felt a little better, but she still said so. I know, and you know it too. Li Dong picked up the woman's chin and kissed her again. Chapter 33, Teaching and Solving Problems. Li Dong slept until 3:30 p.m. and then got up to prepare dinner for Shwejiachi in the kitchen. After working for more than an hour, it was already 5 p.m. when Li Dong went out. Because the school year had recently started, the business at the snack street was booming, and the consumption of skewers was also astonishing. In order to improve efficiency and save time, Li Dong bought a special automatic skewer threading machine for 5,000 yuan. This skewer machine can thread 2,000 skewers per hour, and can thread beef and lamb, bean curd, gluten, vegetables, etc. He also hired a woman to operate the machine and put the ingredients on the machine, paying her 200 yuan for half a day's work. This woman is a housewife who lives nearby. Her main job is to pick up and drop off her children, and she has nothing to do after dropping them off at school. The day before yesterday, she took her child to the snack street to a barbecue, and saw Li Dong busy as a bee. She casually asked if he needed any help. Li Dong had a few words with her while grilling skewers, saying that he wanted to find someone to be in charge of the skewers, but there was no suitable person yet. This woman volunteered to try, and after a trial, she found that she did a pretty good job and worked quite quickly, so Li Dong agreed. Boss, you're here. Han Xiao saw Li Dong coming and greeted him with a smile. Almost done? Li Dong asked with a smile. The past 2 days have been 2,000 skewers each, basically all sold, even if there is not much left. Combined with the sales of beer and sour plum drink, business has obviously been much better these past 2 days, with a net profit of about 4,000 yuan per day. It will be finished soon, please take a look and see if there are any leaks, I will fix it now. Han Xiao smiled and said. There are none, let's just leave it like this. Li Dong roughly looked over it, and basically did everything as he had instructed. Okay, then I'll just clean the machine and go back. Han Xiao smiled. While Li Dong was preparing for the stall, Qi Xiaoxiao and Xue Jieqi from Mingduyuan were discussing topics that children would not find boring. Xue Jieqi got up to go to the bathroom and saw that Qi Xiaoxiao had already woken up. She deliberately came over and said to Qi Xiaoxiao, I'm going to give Li Dong today. Really? Qi Xiaoxiao looked at Xue Jieqi in surprise. She had just been showing off, but she didn't expect Xue Jieqi to be so brave. Xue Jieqi nodded shyly. You're amazing, sister. You dare to break through and surpass yourself. Qi Xiaoxiao said, puffing out her cheeks. Come on. Xue Jieqi rolled her eyes. How was it? Wasn't it a bit fun? Wasn't Li Dong overjoyed? Qi Xiaoxiao asked with a wicked smile. It seems that her words yesterday were useful, and today Xue Jieqi started putting them into practice. Xue Jieqi nodded with a blush on her face. Husbands and wives are supposed to help each other. She can't serve Li Dong now that she's pregnant, but it's not good for Li Dong to keep it inside either. At 22, he's at the peak of his energy, and especially since the two of them are still intimate every day, if he really gets sick from holding it in, she'll suffer in the end. Yesterday, he didn't believe me. You are just too simple. Men like simple women because they are easy to fool. But now that you two are married and pregnant, there is no need to be simple anymore. Qi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. You are right. It's not pretty to be coy. Xue Jieqi nodded in agreement. The most important innocence has been given, so what else can't be given or done? That's because you don't have much experience, and I still have a lot to learn from you. Xue Jieqi said with a smile. As far as she knew, Qi Xiaoxiao had at least 5 or 6 boyfriends, and had lived with at least 2 of them. She didn't know how many of them had had sex with her. Hey, you, I'm trying to help you improve your relationship with your husband, and you don't even thank me, and you dare to mock me, I'll break off all contact with you. Qi Xiaoxiao pouted. No, Miss Qi, don't be angry. Xue Jieqi said ingratiatingly. Humph. Qi Xiaoxiao turned her head away, her eyes rolling around, not knowing what evil idea she was holding back. I'm wrong, Miss Qi, you're a big person, you don't need to hold a grudge. Xue Jieqi continued to meekly submit. Forget it, I won't argue with you, who am I to argue with someone as kind-hearted as you? That's just one of the simplest ways, it's only the most basic skill, and the effect it gets is actually very limited. Do you want to know about an advanced version of the skill? Qi Xiaoxiao said, selling a secret. What is the advanced version? Xue Jieqi asked earnestly like a studious student. It's just like this. Qi Xiaoxiao whispered softly in Xue Jieqi's ear. Just as Xue Jieqi was puzzled as to what she meant, she suddenly thought of something and her face suddenly turned red. This is too much, isn't it? Xue Jieqi asked with a face full of embarrassment. What? You may not be able to accept it at the moment, but you really need to think about it. You're only 6 or 7 months pregnant, and there's still more than a month to go before the baby is born, so that's 8 or 9 months in total. Gee, your husband Li Dong is really unlucky, Qi Xiaoxiao said with a sigh. He got her pregnant in the first go, and then he can't touch her for a whole year. He's the most miserable husband in history. You're right. Xue Jieqi nodded. Li Dong gets up early every day and works hard to earn money for her and the baby. She is only doing something intimate, so why not? That's her man. No matter how much nonsense the two of them get up to in the bedroom, it's all bedroom fun, and it also enhances the couple's relationship, so why not? Marriage needs to be managed, and there are ways and means to do it. A good approach can get twice the result with half the effort, and it can make your man fall head over heels for you. Qi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. Teacher Qi, please say more. I feel that what you say makes a lot of sense. Xue Jieqi said, pondering Qi Xiaoxiao's words. Well, what a good attitude. You are a model student. Qi Xiaoxiao pinched Xue Jieqi's pretty face and continued, but you can't do this kind of thing too often. If you do it too much, he will lose the sense of novelty and anticipation. Do you understand what I mean? Yes, I understand. What you said makes a lot of sense. Xue Jieqi nodded. Chapter 34, Record Keeping. Early in the morning on the 12th of September, Li Dong got up early to start making breakfast, because this morning he was going to accompany Xue Jieqi to the hospital for a prenatal checkup. Shwejechi was already 12 weeks pregnant, and according to the schedule, it was time for the NT scan, which is a common screening method to determine fetal abnormalities by examining the fetal nuchal translucency. Daughter-in-law, you can only watch me eat. The hospital examination includes blood drawing, so you can't eat or drink for the time being. Li Dong said, stuffing a piece of scrambled egg into his mouth. I'm so hungry, my stomach is rumbling. Shwejechi pouted. I've got some bread and biscuits with me. Let's go and have the blood test first. After that, we can eat something to fill our stomachs. You don't need to fast for the other tests. I've put the marriage certificate, household register, ID card, and the results of the previous tests in this file bag. After the tests today, we'll have to set up a file. Li Dong pointed to a cowhide file bag and said. After setting up the file, won't we be able to skip the registration when we go for the next antenatal checkup? Shwejechi asked. Yes, otherwise who will go first when it's time for the checkup? But after the file is set up, the results of each checkup will be recorded in a handbook for the doctor to easily check, and the handbook will also tell you the time of the next checkup and the items to be checked. Li Dong said with a smile. Okay, honey, you've taken care of everything. Shwejechi said with a smile. After the semester started, she was busy with school, and Li Dong took care of everything at home and her check UPS. I'm your husband, who else would take care of it if I didn't? I can't help much with your work, but you must always remember that you are a pregnant woman, and you must not get angry, carry heavy objects, or do strenuous exercise, okay? Li Dong reminded her. I know, I'm not a child, how would I not know the difference between what is important and what is not? Shwejechi pouted. Even though she was 3 years older than Li Dong, when they were together, she always felt that Li Dong's thinking and mentality were more mature than hers, that he considered things more thoroughly than she did, and that he was more stable than she was. Knowing the difference between right and wrong, she still dared to carry that box herself? Li Dong retorted. It was almost Teacher's Day, and the Polytechnic University had given each faculty member a box of beef, about 4 or 5 caddies. Yesterday, when Li Dong went to pick up Shwejechi, he found Shwejechi carrying a box of beef down the stairs. Oh, you scolded me yesterday, and I've already recognized my mistake. Can you stop scolding me today? Shwejechi looked at Li Dong with a pitiful expression, and deliberately blinked her eyes. I'm not scolding you, I'm just concerned about you, silly wife, Li Dong said helplessly. Okay, honey, I promise I won't do it again, Shwejechi promised, sticking out 2 fingers. After dinner, Li Dong drove to the First People's Hospital of Tianqing City and went straight to the obstetrics and gynecology department on the 4th floor. Hey, honey, aren't we going to register? Shwejechi asked curiously. We did. I did it on my phone the day before. We're 3rd in line. If we wait to register, we'll be here forever. Li Dong said with a smile. Hee, you're amazing, honey. Shwejechi said happily. What's amazing about it? Li Dong asked softly, putting his arm around Shwejechi's shoulders. It's amazing in every way. Shwejechi said with a smile. Seeing so many pregnant women and their family members in the waiting area, Shwejechi felt a surge of happiness. It's really important to have a reliable husband. Perhaps it was because Shwejechi had a great appearance and figure, but the people around her looked over at her intentionally or unintentionally, and when they saw Li Dong next to her, they all began to wonder. He was just so looking, dressed in just so clothes, and not that old, so how did he manage to land such a beautiful woman? Ignoring the strange looks from the people around them, after waiting for about 20 minutes, it was Shwejechi's turn to be examined. Shwejechi, 25 years old, how many children are you having? The doctor asked with a smile, looking at how young Shwejechi and Li Dong looked. Our first child, doctor, Shwejechi replied. Good, pregnancy is much less of a hassle when you're young. Today we'll be doing an NT scan and some routine tests. After all the tests are done, come see me with the results and we'll set up your medical records. By the way, have you eaten yet? The doctor asked. No, Shwejechi said. That's good. Here is the list of tests. You can go and have them done one by one. You can go and have your blood taken first, and then let the pregnant woman eat something to fill her stomach. The doctor looked at Li Dong and said. Okay, thank you, doctor. Li Dong said with a smile, and then took the list of tests and went out with Shwejechi. When they arrived at the blood drawing window on the 2nd floor, there were people queuing at all 3 windows, but there were not many people, and the blood drawing was quick. After waiting for about 5 minutes, it was Shwejechi's turn to have her blood drawn. Shwejechi was too timid to watch when her blood was drawn, keeping her eyes closed the whole time and frowning. Daughter-in-law, come sit here and rest for a while. You eat some bread first, and I'll hold this for you. Li Dong took out a sandwich from his bag and pressed it against Shwejechi's needle site. I've been afraid of blood since I was a child and I can't bear to watch it. Shwejechi said, taking a bite of bread. Many people feel this way, especially when having blood drawn. It's nothing to be afraid of, Li Dong said with a smile. Which test do you want to do next? Shwejechi asked. Let's do the urine test, shall we? Have you urinated yet? Li Dong asked with a smile. No, I haven't. Shwejechi glared at Li Dong and said. Here, drink some water. It's the perfect temperature. Drink a few sips to help digestion. Li Dong opened the thermos and gave Shwejechi a few sips of water. Why don't we do the other things first, and do this one when you have some urine? Shwejechi said. Well, you finish eating first, and then go for the electrocardiogram and thyroid, as well as HIV and STDs. Li Dong looked at the list and said. You have to do a STD test as well? Shwejechi asked in surprise. No, it says right here, syphilis, herpes. Li Dong let Shwejechi take a look at the list and smiled. Okay. Shwejechi said with a pout. She was in perfect health, with no infectious diseases and certainly no sexually transmitted diseases, so she wasn't worried about any of this, just curious. One by one, it was already 10:30 when all the results came out, a full 2 hours. Okay, the file has been created, and the next checkup is at 16 weeks. In addition to some routine tests, such as blood pressure, weight, abdominal circumference, uterine height, etc., there is also an important one, which is the Down syndrome test. The doctor said with a smile. Okay doctor, we will come for the checkup on time. Shwejechi said. By the way, are you local residents? The doctor asked. Chapter 35, Shopping at the Mall. I am, Shwejechi said. She had moved her household registration when she started working at the university, and it was registered under the school's collective household registration. Li Dong was in the process of moving his household registration, and would move it to the new house once the renovations were complete, and then move Shwejechi's household registration over. The couple definitely had to be on the same household registration, because only the household registration clearly stated their relationship, husband and wife. Local residents have a discount and can get a free Down syndrome screening. Just bring a copy of your ID next time you come for the checkup, the doctor said. Okay, thank you doctor, Li Dong said with a smile, then got up and left with Shwejechi. Everything about the baby's development is normal, honey, Shwejechi said happily. And everything about your body is normal too, Li Dong said, holding Shwejechi's waist with one hand while carrying their bag with the other. Blood routine, urine routine, hepatitis B6 items, electrocardiogram, thyroid, infectious diseases, blood sugar, blood pressure, etc. It's just that the weight gain is a little too fast. The doctor said that in the early stages, it must be controlled to less than 1 pound per week, otherwise the weight gain in the later stages will be even faster. Shwejechi pouted. Since eating the meals made by Li Dong, her appetite has improved greatly. She used to eat only 1 bowl of rice, but now she starts with 1.5 bowls, and sometimes she can even eat 2 bowls. Plus, Li Dong occasionally makes some snacks, so she can't help but eat a little more. Yes, but you shouldn't starve yourself. Pregnancy is so hard, and you still have to go to school. It's only right to eat something that goes down easily every day, Li Dong said with concern. Ugh, if I keep eating like this, I'll end up a big fat person sooner or later, Shwejechi said coquettishly, and even gestured with her hand to show what a big fat person looked like. She knew what Li Dong was thinking, but she was a woman after all, and a woman with a top-notch appearance and figure. Women care a lot about their figure. Honey, there happens to be a shopping mall next to this hospital. Let's go for a stroll, and consider it exercise. Shwejechi said with a smile, taking Li Dong's arm. It's almost time to eat, or should we go shopping after we eat? Li Dong asked, looking at the time. They sell food in the mall, so you can take a break from being the chef for once. Shwejechi said with a smile. Okay, I'll eat something ready-made today. Li Dong readily agreed. It was obvious that his wife wanted to go shopping, and it wouldn't be nice to argue with her. When they arrived at the mall, the first floor was full of all kinds of jewelry and luxury goods. Shwejechi asked, honey, let me buy you a watch. I haven't given you a proper gift since we got married. I don't want one, I'm not in the habit of wearing a watch. Besides, it gets in the way when I'm grilling kebabs, and I can always check the time on my phone. Li Dong shook his head and said. When he was in junior high school, Li Dong wore an electronic watch for a while. He took it off every night before going to bed and put it back on in the morning. Then the electronic watch broke, and for a while he didn't wear one. He got used to not wearing a watch, and he never bought another one after that. You'll all be successful people soon, so how can you do without a watch? Shuijiachi teased with a smile. It was Li Dong himself who said the other day that after he's set up the restaurant, he'll be considered a successful person, high or low. In fact, whether I'm successful in my career or not isn't determined by what watch I wear, what brand of clothes I wear, or what luxury car I drive, you know? Li Dong said. What is it determined by, then? Shuijiachi asked curiously. How do you define success? Most people's first thoughts are definitely these things, defined in terms of clothing, food, housing, and transportation. It depends on how young you are, Li Dong said with a smile. Shuijiachi was stunned by his comment. What did Li Dong's success have to do with whether she was young or not? Can't figure it out, daughter-in-law? Li Dong asked with a smile. No, then please enlighten me. Shuijiachi said with a pout. In fact, the reasoning is very simple. What kind of man do you think will have a young and beautiful woman by his side? Especially if the man is not young. Li Dong asked with a smile. A young man and a young and beautiful woman don't mean anything, because there are plenty of examples like that in school. A man who is not young and a woman who is young and beautiful means that the man either has power or money, otherwise what is the woman after? When you put it that way, it seems to be true. That's exactly the situation with men who have mistresses. Shuijiachi's words left Li Dong speechless. What kind of analogy is this? So, it doesn't matter what I wear, what's important is how well you dress and maintain yourself. You women may like to chat about your husband's career when you get together, and then after a while, you'll talk about your children's studies. 20 years from now, you'll talk about who's younger, who has less white hair and fewer wrinkles. Li Dong said. That makes sense. I didn't realize you knew so much for someone your age. These things aren't taught in school. Shuijiachi looked at Li Dong with an approving gaze and said. This is all wisdom. Li Dong pointed to his head smugly and said. Honey, why didn't you consider buying a diamond ring when you proposed? Shuijiachi asked as they passed a diamond counter. Diamonds are all lies, gold is the real thing, and if you have money, you can buy more and hoard them. If you really like diamonds, I'll give you a whole artificial pigeon's egg someday, Li Dong said with a smile. It's like rice, a little bit can sell for tens of thousands of dollars, fooling the devil. Not to mention that artificial diamonds can be mass-produced in various sizes, just the reserves of natural diamonds are simply inexhaustible. Diamonds are a century-old lie woven by capital. Diamonds are forever, one forever. Unfortunately, women have been brainwashed. I don't know when it started, but the size of the diamond ring is used to measure the sincerity and depth of a man's love for his wife when they get engaged or married. Ha, come on, I'm not one of those vain women who wants a man-made diamond. Shuijiachi said with a smile. Are all the jewels on those rich people real? Not necessarily. Honey, let's go and find you a couple of outfits. Shuijiachi said. I already have clothes. I just need to switch between a few outfits. You should buy some clothes. Once you get pregnant, you won't be able to wear your old clothes. You still have to go to class, and you won't be able to wear inappropriate clothes. Li Dong said. Oh, you're right. It's already September. If we buy clothes now, they'll be for autumn and winter. Shuijiachi said, suddenly realizing what Li Dong had said. Sometimes when I wake up, I still think I'm not pregnant. Let's go, this is a women's clothing store, and it's a big brand. Let's go in and have a look. Li Dong said. Okay. Shuijiachi took Li Dong's arm and walked into the store. Hello, how can I help you? We have just got in some new sweaters and pants, you can try them on. The salesperson said enthusiastically. Seeing Shuijiachi's appearance and figure, he couldn't help but feel a burst of envy. How come she is so tall? She has a small waist, fair skin, beautiful face, and long legs. Chapter 36 Learning from Senior Li Dong. Let me try this one. Shuijiachi pointed to a long, light yellow sweater. Sure, beautiful lady, this one has been selling really well recently, and it matches your temperament perfectly, especially since you're relatively tall. This sweater is just right for you. The salesperson said enthusiastically. What kind of temperament can you tell about me? Shwejechi asked playfully. You look like the kind of intellectual lady, an educated person, a modern woman with independent financial capabilities. The salesperson said with a smile. It is very important for salespeople to have a pair of discerning eyes. To put it bluntly, it is about judging people and recommending the right products to them. Li Dong laughed quietly and kept quiet, just being a good follower. What do you think, honey? Shwejechi stood in front of the mirror, wearing the sweater. It really matches your temperament, Li Dong teased. Change the word. Shwejechi gave Li Dong a white look and said. It looks great, I like it. Li Dong said simply and directly. Hee, it's a pity that it won't last long, only a month or so. Shwejechi took off the sweater with a smile and handed it to the salesperson. The salesperson looked confused, but Li Dong knew what Shwejechi meant. Shwejechi's belly had already started to protrude, and it would become more obvious in another month. The sweater, which was just right for now, would look out of place if worn then. Let's go to another store. Shwejechi smiled as she took Li Dong's arm. You can still wear it, and buy something else in a month. Li Dong smiled. I know, but the quality of the shirt is not good, and I can't just say it's poor quality, so I'll just make an excuse. Shwejechi smiled. I see, it seems like it's not easy to earn your money. Li Dong teased. Of course, you should save money when you need to and spend it when you want to. Shwejechi said proudly. After visiting 2 more stores, they didn't find anything suitable. Either the style was not right or the color was not right. Daughter-in-law, let's sit here for a while. It's been a long day. Li Dong put his arm around Shwejechi and sat her down in a lounge chair. He took out a thermos and offered Shwejechi some water. While she was drinking, an acquaintance came by. Hey, you're shopping too, are you? Hey, Miss Shwe? Wang Changfeng was still smiling when he saw Li Dong, and he ran into an acquaintance while shopping. But before he could be happy, he saw that there was another familiar face next to Li Dong, and it was none other than their goddess, Miss Shwe. Just now, the few of them were still discussing how great the figure of this woman in front of them was, with a pair of long, slender legs that were simply amazing. They were lamenting that all the good cabbages had been taken by the pigs when the 2 people in front of them sat down. Then they looked at them and realized that they were both acquaintances. Have you just arrived or are you leaving? Li Dong asked with a smile. Senior, are you with Teacher Shwe? Wang Changfeng asked in surprise, looking at Li Dong and Shwejechi intimately. Let me formally introduce myself. From now on, I'll be your grandmaster. Li Dong teased. Screw you. You don't have class today, do you? Shwejechi gave Li Dong a cold stare and looked at Wang Changfeng and the others and asked. Yes, Miss Shwe. Wang Changfeng and the 2 people next to him scanned the 2 people, Shwejechi and Li Dong, with their gossiping eyes. They had heard before that Miss Shwe had gotten married and was pregnant, but they had never known which one of them had done it. Now they knew, and it turned out to be their own senior. The other day, Wang Changfeng was complaining about it when he was eating kebabs at Li Dong's place, and he never expected that the main person complaining was right in front of him. It turns out that the senior is the one who got stabbed. Wang Changfeng looked at Li Dong and smiled. You brat, you're so rude to your teacher, be careful you fail the course. Li Dong smiled. Teacher Shwe, you guys take a break first, we'll go somewhere else to take a look around. Wang Changfeng and the others said to Teacher Shwe, and the other 2 people looked at Li Dong again in surprise, their eyes full of envy and jealousy, and more so of incomprehension. Why would Teacher Shwe be with her student? Although Li Dong had already graduated, after all, there had been this relationship, and more importantly, there was nothing extraordinary about Li Dong. After Wang Changfeng and the others had left, Shwejechi asked with a suppressed smile, why did he call you 1,000 knives? When did you get such a nickname? They are jealous that I married the goddess in their hearts, Li Dong said with a smile. If he were Wang Changfeng and the others, he would definitely be complaining in his heart. Just like the fact that he married a certain celebrity cannot be made public, no matter who the other party is, the fans cannot accept such a fact. It's so arrogant. Let's find a place to eat, I'm a little hungry. Shwejechi said with a smile. After being with Li Dong, from the initial discomfort to getting used to it, and then gradually becoming the dependence it is now. She can feel Li Dong's care and concern everywhere, and knows that Li Dong is also taking himself and this family seriously. Okay, what do you want to eat? Li Dong asked. Let's see. Shwejechi took Li Dong with her towards the dining area. While Li Dong and Xuejiaqi were eating, Wang Changfeng and the others were also eating at a restaurant not far away. Which eye of teacher Shui is blind? How could she fall for Li Dong? These two are not even compatible. Even if teacher Shui gets married, she should find a handsome, rich second generation. Chen Di said with a pout. You can't say that. You won't necessarily be happy if you find someone rich. Alas, my goddess, she's lying in someone else's arms from now on. Zhao Yang sighed. What do you guys think of teacher Qi? Wang Changfeng didn't say a word for a long time, and when he spoke, he stunned everyone. Ha? What do you mean? If Senior Li Dong is okay, why can't we? Teacher Shui and teacher Qi are best friends, so does that mean teacher Qi would also accept a teacher-student relationship? Wang Changfeng said with a smile, and the more he thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. His own conditions were not bad, and he thought that his appearance was better than that of Li Dong. What if it worked? What's so great about dating a classmate? It's awesome to be able to date a teacher, or even marry one and have kids. But when you think about it, Li Dong is awesome too. They're both ambitious young people at the age of 22, and he gets to call his teacher every day. Don't do anything rash, this is no joke. Zhao Di advised. Yes, this is no small matter. Zhao Yang also advised. They were just venting their jealousy, and they didn't really have the guts to actually go after their teacher. How will you know if you don't try? Wang Changfeng was also a young bull not afraid of the tiger. Tomorrow happened to be an English class, so he went to the building entrance early to intercept teacher Qi on his way there. Chapter 37, Teacher's Day and a Mysterious Gift. September 10th, the annual Teacher's Day. Li Dong got up early in the morning and busied himself making breakfast, bustling around in the kitchen. Red date and millet porridge, scrambled eggs with shrimp, pickled cucumbers, and xiaolongbao. The xiaolongbao were made by Li Dong yesterday, because Xuejiaqi likes them and wanted Li Dong to buy some yesterday. Li Dong felt that the xiaolongbao from outside were too greasy, and he was not sure about the meat, so he simply made his own, which was not a big deal anyway. Happy holiday, teacher Shui, time to get up. Li Dong pinched Xuejiaqi's pretty face and told her to get up. No, I want to sleep a little longer. Xuejiaqi presses Li Dong's hand to keep him from doing anything. If you sleep any longer, the sun will be shining on your bottom. Don't you have a class in the morning? Li Dong smiles. Oh, I forgot I have a class. As soon as she hears about the class, Xuejiaqi reluctantly gets up. Did you say happy holiday just now? Xuejiaqi asks, sitting at the table. Yes, today is Teacher's Day, you didn't forget, did you? Li Dong said with a smile. No, how could I? Xuejiaqi said stubbornly. Hurry up and eat, you never know what your students might have given you as a gift, and you can share it with me. Li Dong teased. Generally speaking, a teacher who is well liked will definitely receive a gift from their students, such as a letter, a bouquet of flowers, or even a bag of sweets, to show their respect and affection. A good teacher has a huge impact on students. A teacher's words or actions can have a great positive or negative influence on students. There are countless examples of this. Some teachers, even after 10 or 20 years, you still remember him or know his/her name clearly, and know his/her habits and preferences. Some teachers, you may have forgotten his name 2 or 3 years after you graduated, not to mention habits and preferences. Okay, I'll take half. Xuejiaqi said with a pout. Every year on Teacher's Day, she receives many gifts, mostly flowers, and secondarily chocolate. There's nothing she can do about it, her charm just oozes out. But unlike previous years, when she didn't care about anything, this year she has a faint sense of expectation in her heart. After dinner, Li Dong, as usual, went downstairs with Xuejiaqi and arrived at the parking lot. Driving Xuejiaqi to the entrance of the college, Li Dong didn't mention anything about Teacher's Day or gifts, and Xuejiaqi didn't mention it either, except that she felt a little disappointed. They had just got out of the car and had not walked far when 2 boys of unknown ages came over holding a bouquet of flowers and a box of chocolates. Ms. Shui, on behalf of the 120 students in the biochemistry major, we would like to wish you a happy holiday. Thank you, I have received your kind thoughts, but I cannot accept the gifts. You should not buy them in the future, as you have not yet earned any money, said Ms. Xuejiaqi with a smile. Ms. Shui, we all contributed money to buy these, as a token of our appreciation. Please accept them, otherwise we will not be able to explain to the others, said the boys. Okay, thank you. I'll accept the flowers, but not the chocolates. Xuejiaqi said, taking the flowers. Teacher Shue, the chocolates aren't expensive, please accept them. Chocolates are high-calorie foods that make you fat easily. They're not very friendly foods for girls, you know. Shwejechi said with a smile. In fact, she also eats a little occasionally, but after she became pregnant, her diet was significantly reduced. Okay, we're leaving, goodbye, Teacher Shue. Shwejechi, who had been feeling a little down, instantly felt better when she caught the scent of the fragrant flowers. Humph. If you're not going to give me flowers, I don't want them. Someone else is. Holding a bouquet of flowers, she walked towards the office, and just as she reached the door, another group of students were waiting for her. I told you that you should have waited for Teacher Shue downstairs, but you didn't listen to me, said one student, noticing the flowers in Shwejechi's hands. Happy holidays, Teacher Shue. Happy holidays, Miss Shue. The two groups of people came forward together, presenting 2 bouquets of flowers and some other gifts. Thank you for your blessings. I've received your good intentions, but don't go to such trouble in the future. A simple word of blessing is enough. Shwejechi said happily. Miss Shue has had a good harvest. Teacher Zhu teased. It's all from the students' hearts. Shwejechi said with a smile, placing the flowers next to her desk and beginning her preparations for class. Philosophy classes are inherently boring and dull, and they have a very high rate of absenteeism. But since Shwejechi became a philosophy teacher at the Polytechnic University, philosophy classes have become one of the courses with the highest attendance rates. Many students who are not majoring in philosophy also come to the class, and it doesn't matter if there are no seats, they can just stand and listen. When Shwejechi habitually turned on the computer on the table, she was still complaining in her heart that Li Dong hadn't said anything, but she was surprised to find that the desktop of the high mountains and jungles she usually used had changed. The pattern was still the same, but there were a few lines of eye-catching words in the upper right corner. It starts with appearance. It's about talent. And it's about character. Shwejechi pondered these 3 words, wondering who had touched her computer, and guessed it must have been one of her suitors. As she typed out 2 documents on the computer and pulled open the drawer to get a pen, she saw a pink thermos in the drawer. Shwejechi curiously took out the thermos and saw 2 cartoon characters kissing on the top of the thermos, and then there was a line of small artistic letters next to them. The wind has an appointment, the flowers will not be mistaken, year after year, never betraying each other. Shwejechi looked at the bottom of the cup and the lid again, but didn't find anything else. She unscrewed the lid, but there was nothing there either. Shwejechi's mind was full of questions. Who on earth put it in her drawer? It couldn't have been one of her students, because the cup wasn't cheap. The cheapest cups of this brand cost 500 to 600 yuan, and this was a custom model, so it was even more expensive. When Shwejechi put the cup back in the drawer, she glanced inside and saw something else. She reached in and took it out, and it was a pink pen. There was a line of words on the pen. The deepest gaze is infinite meaning, as if we have met before in a previous life. She had always used pens from this brand, and she had 3 of them, blue, black, and gold. There were no words on those 3 pens, so this one was also a custom model. Who on earth is it? He leaves no name and no trace. Is this how you confess your love to someone? As she was pondering who had done all this, Zhu, the teacher sitting opposite, said, Shue, it's time for class. Oh, right. Shwejechi looked at the time on her watch. It was already 8:25, and class was due to start in 5 minutes. Shwejechi, with a puzzled look on her face, took her books and pens and walked towards the classroom. Chapter 38, The Surprise continues. Happy holidays, Miss Shue. As soon as she entered the classroom, a loud shout brought Shwejechi's thoughts back to reality. Thank you, and now we'll begin today's lesson. Shwejechi walked up to the podium and smiled. Then she saw that the smiles on the students' faces were a little strange, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Still, Shwejechi didn't think much of it and began the formal class. When Shwejechi turned on the computer in the classroom to prepare the presentation, she saw a line of words projected on the blackboard by the projector. There may be 100 beauties in the world, but you are the one my heart desires. Who wrote these lines to confess their love to their girlfriend? They're not bad, are they? Shwejechi asked with a smile. Teacher, they're for you. Class President He said with a smile. Thank you for your love. I'm a little overwhelmed. Let's continue with the lesson. Shwejechi froze for a moment, then smiled. Could it be that the cups and pens in the office were really given to her by the students? When Shwejechi inserted the USB drive and opened the courseware she usually used, the pop-up was still the familiar PPT, but the content had been stolen and replaced. There are trees on the mountain and branches on the trees, my heart is happy for you but you don't know. Class monitor He-Fei led the whole class in reading this sentence aloud, while a student in the last row watched all this with a smile. Then the PowerPoint played automatically, and the content of the second page changed again. If the mountain has no ridges, and the river dries up, and winter thunder shakes the sky, and summer snow and rain fall, and heaven and earth close together, then I dare say goodbye to you forever. Third page, may I find a person with whom I can be united as one heart, and never part till death do us part. Fourth page, to the world, you are one person but to me, you are my world. Last page, I have been a firm materialist all my life, but only for you, I hope there is a next life. The first part is still poetry, and Shwejechi just smiles as she listens to her students read it aloud to her. The second part gradually becomes shorter sentences, but the content is not just written casually. She is very surprised that someone has such literary talent and can write such philosophical and loving sentences. Especially the last sentence, which even moved a teacher who teaches philosophy. I am very happy to hear you read these things, but I would like to know which talented person wrote such philosophical sentences. Can you tell me? Shwejechi asked with a smile. Teacher Shwe, it's getting late, we should start class now, and you'll find out soon who wrote it. He-Fei said with a smile. Hey, playing hide and seek with the teacher, are you? Just as they were talking, Shwejechi saw a student in the last row leave through the back door, but she couldn't see his face because it was too far away. The whole class was smiling at Shwejechi, and they couldn't tell her anyway. Shwejechi was at a loss for what to do, and could only suppress her inner doubts and continue with the class. After the 1.5-hour class, Shwejechi had no more classes for the day. As she was walking downstairs from the academy, a local delivery boy came up to her and asked, "Are you Teacher Shwe? This is a package for you from someone. Please accept it." "Who is it from?" Shwejechi asked curiously. "I don't know, I'm just the delivery boy." The local delivery boy said with a smile, and then handed the package to Shwejechi and left. Everything today exudes a sense of mystery, as if someone is manipulating it all from behind the scenes. Opening the package, she finds a handmade bouquet of flowers, containing 9 colors and a total of 99 flowers. Shwejechi sniffs it closely, and there is still a faint fragrance, the smell of osmanthus, which she likes. "Hey, what are you doing, looking at you standing here for a long time without moving?" Shi Xiaoxiao asked from the side. "I don't know who sent a bouquet of flowers," Shwejechi said. "There's no sender's information?" Shi Xiaoxiao took the flowers and looked at them. They smelled really good. And the flowers were exquisitely made, with a strange shape and a harmonious color scheme. "No, a delivery boy brought them," Shwejechi said. "Who knows, maybe it's from a suitor. Why think about it? If you don't want them, just give them to me. I'm in need of a decoration for my desk, and I think these are just right," Shi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. "Okay, if you like it, you can have it." Shwejechi smiled, saying, "It's just a bunch of flowers, I don't really care about it." "Hey, there's even writing inside the flowers," Shi Xiaoxiao said in surprise. "Let me see." Hearing that there was writing inside the flowers, Shwejechi was puzzled again. Who had the time to do all this? She dared not say that the whole school knew about her getting married and pregnant, but at least most of the students knew. Because there were several posts on the school forum talking about her getting married, and the topic had always been very popular. Since they knew she was married and still went to all this trouble, they either had a huge crush on her or the person behind it was Li Dong. Yes, Li Dong was the prime suspect. First, he had the motive to do all this. Li Dong had been her student, and taking advantage of Teacher's Day to express his feelings was just the right thing to do. Second, he has the financial resources to do these things. Whether it's a custom-made high-end thermos or a custom-made pen, or the handmade bouquet of flowers in his hands, the combined value is not affordable for an ordinary student. Finally, Li Dong has the time to do this. Except for the evenings when he is busy selling skewers, he has complete freedom to do all this. "Jechi, look, the content written on this flower is really sweet." Shi Xiaoxiao pulled out a red flower and handed it to Shwejechi. "Meeting is fate. It's either a blessing or a curse. That's a very Zen saying. Maybe a monk has fallen for you?" Shi Xiaoxiao teased. "Screw you, I've never taught a monk, and I don't know any monks. How could someone just give me flowers for no reason?" Shwejechi said, glaring at her. Look at the neat handwriting, full of masculinity, it must have been written by a handsome guy. Don't tell your husband Li Dong, or he'll be jealous for sure. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a smile, in a mood to watch the fun. He's not going to be jealous. Shui Jieqi said coldly. Why? Shi Xiaoxiao asked curiously, wondering if Li Dong was so broad-minded that he could tolerate a handsome guy sending flowers to his wife to declare his love. Because that's what he wrote. Shui Jieqi said with a smile, her mouth curling up, her mood beautiful beyond words. Shi Xiaoxiao hadn't paid any attention when she hadn't mentioned the handwriting, but when she looked closely, she felt a sense of familiarity with the handwriting. At home, Li Dong rarely wrote, but she had occasionally seen the professional class notes Li Dong took when he went to college, and the words on them were exactly the same as the ones in front of her eyes. She couldn't be mistaken. Chapter 39, Confess and Be Free. Gee, this is really romantic. These flowers are not worth much, but they are full of deep love. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a pout, obviously really jealous of the two being so affectionate. This flower has a message written on it, and so does this one, and so does this one. There should be a different message on each of the 99 flowers. Shui Jieqi said happily. Let me see, any one of them is so heartwarming. I want to see what the others say, so I can learn from them. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. There's nothing to see, let's go home. Shui Jieqi took the flowers and walked on. Hey, wait for me, you have to learn to share good things. Didn't your aunt teach you that when you were little? Shi Xiaoxiao said, and the two of them walked together towards the parking lot. Some things can be shared, while others can only be enjoyed alone. Shui Jieqi smiled, feeling very happy. When she came to class in the morning, she was still complaining that Li Dong hadn't prepared her any gifts, but it seems that she had wronged him. Not only had he prepared a gift, but he had also given her surprise after surprise. Regardless of the value of the gift, the thoughtfulness alone was enough to move her. She didn't know how much time Li Dong had spent on these things, including asking the students in her class to help with the project, but it definitely wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. This little man, he did all this behind my back, and pretended to be fine. I'll see how I can fix him when we get home. Get in the car, where are we going for lunch? Shi Xiaoxiao said as she drove up in her Mini. Let's go home and eat. Shui Jieqi said after thinking for a moment, then pulled out her phone and dialed Li Dong. What's wrong, honey? Li Dong asked with a smile, still out of breath from running back from school. Are you working? Shui Jieqi asked with a smile. Ah, yes, today's customer unit price is okay, I'm going to prepare to run a few more orders, why? Li Dong asked, looking at the various ingredients arranged in the kitchen. Oh, that's nothing, I just finished class and I'm going to go for a walk with Xiao Xiao for a while before going back. Shui Jieqi's eyes flashed with anger, this man is getting more and more bold, telling lies with his eyes wide open. After hanging up the phone, Shi Xiaoxiao asked with a smile, where are you going for a walk? Shui Jieqi said, what's the point of walking? Go home. Didn't you just say you wanted to go out for a walk with me? Shi Xiaoxiao said puzzledly. This is a diversionary tactic. I want to see what Li Dong is up to at home. Shui Jieqi said with a smile, looking like she was sure of what Li Dong was up to. Didn't he say he was going to go out and hail a ride? Shi Xiaoxiao asked, confused. Are these two living together? It feels like there's a hidden strategy and something fishy in every sentence. If he was driving an online car hailing service, he would definitely have turned on the navigation system, but I didn't hear any navigation prompts after the two of us had just spoken for a few moments, so he's lying. Shui Jieqi said with a smile. Maybe there weren't any customers at that time, then. Shi Xiaoxiao said. Li Dong said that the average spending per customer was good, which meant that there were quite a few customers, so how could there be any empty cars? Furthermore, when I was in class, someone crept out of the last row. Although I didn't see the person's face clearly, my intuition told me that it was Li Dong. Shui Jieqi analyzed the various situations of the day like Sherlock Holmes. She also talked about the computer desktop, thermos, and pen that had happened in the office this morning. Oh my, this man has such a cute and romantic side? Shi Xiaoxiao said in surprise. Humph, although it is extremely cute, it still cannot escape the fate of being beaten. Shui Jieqi puffed up her cheeks and said. No way, you have the heart to do it? Otherwise, be generous and let me have Li Dong, I like this kind of guy. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. Damn it! Shui Jieqi scolded with a smile. Li Dong in the room was still busy, unaware of anything, preparing to give his wife a last surprise, unaware of the danger approaching. Hey, wife? You said you went out for a stroll, why are you back? Li Dong froze for a moment, then quickly went to close the kitchen door. Confess yourself, or let me torture you. Xue Jiaqi sat on the sofa, her arms folded across her chest, making her ample bust stand out even more. Where should I look? Seeing that Li Dong didn't say anything, she looked up. Goodness, at this hour he still has the heart to stare at her breasts, she almost laughed in anger. Shi Xiaoxiao next to her covered her mouth and tried hard to hold back her laughter. These two were simply a pair of treasures. Cough cough, wife, I don't understand what you're saying, what do you want to confess? Li Dong tried to muddle through, but how could he possibly escape teacher Xue's fiery eyes? I'll give you one last chance, so you'd better cherish it, or else you know the consequences. Xue Jiaqi said with a snort, looking at Li Dong with a teasing expression in her eyes, like an old cat looking at a little mouse. Hey, honey, if you already know everything, what else can I say? Li Dong said with a smirk. Shi Xiaoxiao, who was standing next to him, couldn't hold back her laughter when she saw Li Dong's comical expression. However, after receiving Xue Jiaqi's death stare, she quickly covered her mouth and pretended that nothing had happened. Don't look at Xue Jiaqi, who is usually quite gentle. In fact, Li Dong's impression of her in the past was that she was rather aloof. She was pretty, but there was always a sense of distance that kept people away. Now Xue Jiaqi was looking at him with a stern face, which was quite intimidating. I'll tell you, dear, but calm down first, okay? Li Dong raised his hands in surrender and smiled. You go first. How I feel depends on your confession. Xue Jiaqi felt a burst of amusement in her heart, but her face showed no sign of it. I started preparing for today at the end of last month. I wanted to surprise you, so I did everything without your knowledge. To achieve a better effect, I deliberately didn't mention it this morning when I dropped you off at school, thinking that you would discover it and feel it for yourself. Li Dong explained. Because Xue Jiaqi usually has the habit of reading ancient poetry, especially some poems that describe love, friendship, and family relationships better, and Li Dong thought of using poetry as the theme of the gift. He looked up a lot of target poems from the internet and then engraved the poems on the thermos and pen so that Xue Jiaqi could see them when drinking water and writing. Chapter 40, The Touched Xue Jiaqi and the Big Light Bulb. The 99 flowers were hand-folded paper flowers that Li Dong had learned how to make online. He also bought special paper and wrote the selected content on it before folding it into flowers one by one. These 99 flowers were the part that took the most time and effort because Li Dong had never done this kind of handicraft before, and at first the finished product rate was not high, with only one flower successfully folded from 2 sheets of paper. As for the desktop of the office computer, this was very simple. After preparing the desktop in advance, he just copied it over. He could not have done it without the help of teacher Zhu. The same goes for the PowerPoint in class. He asked his younger classmates for help and together they gave Xue Jiaqi a different teacher's day. Li Dong explained each item one by one as Xue Jiaqi and Shi Xiaoxiao attentively listened. You said there's a surprise in my car too? Xue Jiaqi asked in surprise. Didn't you drive when you came back? Li Dong asked in confusion. I came back in Xiaoxiao's car, what other surprises are there in the car? Xue Jiaqi asked happily, the surprises had not ended yet. I changed the voice of your navigation system to my voice and the navigation content. There are these customized versions online, mainly for laughs. Li Dong said with a smile. Anything else? Xue Jiaqi asked, puffing out her cheeks. She was touched beyond words. This straight-laced older guy had done so much for her, and she had no idea. There's a doll in the locker in your office, your favorite little pig. Li Dong said. Anything else? Xue Jiaqi continued to ask. There is a new lipstick in your computer bag, the one you put in the shopping cart but didn't buy. I took the liberty of placing an order for it. Li Dong said with a smile. Anything else? Xue Jiaqi asked. There is a bottle of your favorite perfume in your dressing table. I saw that you had run out of the original one, so I bought an exact duplicate according to the brand and model. Li Dong said. Anything else? Xue Jiaqi didn't know what to say. There's a bottle of hand cream in the new jacket you bought, Li Dong said. Shi Xiaoxiao was stunned. Are you a treasure trove? Everything is a woman's favorite thing. Xue Jiaqi was indeed pleasantly surprised when she suddenly discovered these things. Anything else? Xue Jiaqi asked with a pout, already moved to tears. If Qi Xiaoxiao were here, she would have already thrown herself into Li Dong's arms. No, Miss Shui. Li Dong said, scratching his head apologetically. Really? Shui Jieqi asked with a smile. Really? There wasn't enough time, and I didn't do a good enough job, so it was a bit rushed. Next time, I promise I'll do a better job. Li Dong said with a smile. Puff. Sorry, I'm going to the bathroom, you guys continue. Qi Xiaoxiao smiled. Come in. Shui Jieqi gestured for Li Dong to come to the bedroom with him. Li Dong, who thought he was going to be beaten up, was just entering the bedroom when Shui Jieqi pressed him against the wall and gave him a wet kiss that lasted for a minute. Why did you do so much? Shui Jieqi asked, wrapping her arms around Li Dong's neck. Because I did it for you, I like doing it and I enjoy it, I just don't think I did enough. Li Dong smiled. Silly, that's enough, you'll spoil me like this. Shui Jieqi said with a blush. Spoiling you is my ultimate goal, so that no one will want you, and you'll be in my hands, and belong to me for the rest of your life. Li Dong pinched Shui Jieqi's pretty face and said with a smile. You're a bad guy. Shui Jieqi said tenderly, and then once again offered her fragrant kiss. Okay, Xiao Xiao is still outside. Li Dong gently pushed Shui Jieqi away and said. Never mind her, you're a big light bulb. Shui Jieqi said with a smile, then hugged Li Dong and continued kissing. Big light bulb. After Qi Xiaoxiao came out of the bathroom, there was no one in the living room, and the bedroom door was closed. The quirky Qi Xiaoxiao tiptoed to the door of the master bedroom, leaned on the door and listened to the corner. The first thing she heard was Shui Jieqi calling her a big light bulb. Qi Xiaoxiao was so angry that she wanted to break down the door right there and then. What kind of best friend is this? What kind of childhood friend is this? However, years of self-cultivation helped her control her impulses, and she was prepared to continue listening. Daughter-in-law, I love you, and my heart is full of you. Your joys and sorrows all tug at the strings of my heart. If you are well, it is a sunny day, Li Dong said, looking at Shui Jieqi. I love you too, honey. Your image is constantly in my mind, and I can't help but think about you, and I care more and more about your mood and thoughts. Shui Jieqi said tenderly. Listening to the two of them talk sweetly, Qi Xiaoxiao felt like she was being pricked all over, and she felt like she had lost her mind for even thinking about eavesdropping, and as a result, her ears had grown calluses. It's time to cook. What do you want for lunch? Li Dong asked. I'll eat whatever you cook, I love everything you make. Shui Jieqi said with a smile. Wow, you've changed, Shui Jieqi. When did you learn to say such mushy things? And you say you love everything. How about I make you a meal of dog food? Okay, you chat with Teacher Qi for a while, I'll go cook. Moa. Li Dong kissed the red lips in front of him. Qi Xiaoxiao at the door couldn't bear to listen anymore. She was afraid she would go crazy, so she quickly sat down on the sofa and picked up a fruit to eat. Oh my, a lemon. But why is this lemon sweet? 5 minutes later, Li Dong came out of the bedroom first, said hello to Qi Xiaoxiao, and went to cook. Shui Jieqi's face was still a little red when she came out, wondering what embarrassing things had happened in the last few minutes. Since when do you like lemons? Shui Jieqi asked with a smile as she sat down. They're sweet. Qi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes. Sweet? Are you kidding? Lemons are never sweet. Shui Jieqi laughed. These are sweet. Qi Xiaoxiao took another bite. Let me try. Shui Jieqi took a bite with some doubt. Holy cow! This is so sour that it made her eyes close, and she quickly spit it out. Li Dong bought lemons mainly to cut them into slices and let her drink the water, which has the effect of stimulating the appetite. Lemons are also rich in vitamin C, which can also play an antioxidant role, help remove free radicals, and inhibit melanin pigmentation. Is it sour? Compared to the two of you being sick in the room, this is already very sweet. Qi Xiaoxiao whispered in Shui Jieqi's ear, repeating what Shui Jieqi had just said to Li Dong. Hey, how could you eavesdrop on other people's conversations? That's immoral. Shui Jieqi's face flushed because that sentence was indeed a little shy. I didn't plan to eavesdrop, but I heard someone say that I'm a big light bulb, humph. Qi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes and said with a sneer. Hee, that was all to tease Li Dong, and you took it seriously? We are sisters who are closer than real sisters. Shui Jieqi smiled. I used to believe it, but now I don't. A woman with a man is like a man who marries his wife and forgets his mother. They value their lover over their friends. Shi Xiaoxiao said the words value their lover over their friends extra clearly. Chapter 41 Chefly. How could that be? A stinky man is no match for my Xiaoxiao, who is full of fragrance. Shuejiachi said with a smile, and then deliberately sniffed Shi Xiaoxiao. Oomph, now you're trying to coax me, it's too late. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a pout. Oh dear, don't be like a pregnant woman. Here, have another lemon. Shuejiachi handed Shi Xiaoxiao a lemon. No way, they're so sour. You have a lot of food in your house, there are more than 10 kinds of dried fruit and 7 or 8 kinds of fruit. Can you finish it all? Shi Xiaoxiao pointed at the pile of dried fruit in jars on the table. Just a little bantering between sisters, it's not nice to say too much. Li Dong said that nutrition needs to be balanced, and different foods have different nutrients, especially trace elements, so I bought so many kinds, and I need to eat a little of each every day. In case I get tired of eating the same thing, he will also make these dried fruits or fruits into meals and alternate the flavors. Shuejiachi said with a smile. Oh, look at you, your nose is all puffed out from being so happy, and that's hooked your stomach? Shi Xiaoxiao teased. I think my taste is quite discerning, but Li Dong's cooking can really satisfy my stomach. And every day is different, he'll cook whatever I want to eat, he's a real chef. Shuejiachi said with a smile. Like what? Shi Xiaoxiao asked, glancing at Li Dong who was busy in the kitchen. I wanted to eat Xiaolong Bao the other day, but he said the ones from outside were not clean, so he made me a whole basket himself. The taste was not only better than the ones from outside, but I could also trust the ingredients. Once, I woke up in the middle of the night feeling hungry, and thought that I could just eat some dried fruit or bread to tide me over. But after just 2 bites of bread, Li Dong woke up. After finding out that I was hungry, he didn't say a word and went straight to the kitchen to make me a bowl of egg soup. He even added 2 drops of walnut oil on purpose. That was the best egg soup I've ever eaten in my life. Once I said I wanted to go with him to eat grilled fish, because I was tired of eating steamed and poached fish every day. He said that the fish from outside was not fresh at all, so after he finished picking up the online carpool, he bought a black fish on the way back and grilled it for me at noon. Now I think about it, the taste was really delicious. Shuejiachi reminisced about the little things they had done together, and the happiness that came from the bottom of her heart was simply impossible to fake. To be honest, Shi Xiaoxiao was jealous. I'm happy that my best friend has found her own happiness. It's not easy being a woman, and having someone who understands you and is there for you is far better than having a lot of money. Who can eat lobster, abalone and sea cucumber every day? Who can travel and eat everywhere every day? Most of life is just plain and simple, and it's the simple things in life that show how good the relationship between two people is. I never thought that a young guy who had just graduated from school could be so attentive and considerate. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a sigh. Sometimes I feel like there's a 40-something uncle living in his heart, with more mature thinking than me, a teacher, and more stable in his actions than me. Every night after he's finished selling barbecue, he'll change his clothes in advance. If he finishes early, he'll take a shower there and come back. If he finishes late, he'll come back and take a shower, for fear that I won't feel comfortable if I smell the barbecue. Shuejiachi said with a smile. So, do you feel uncomfortable if you smell it? Shi Xiaoxiao asked. At first, I might, but that was when I was suffering from morning sickness. After that, I didn't. I told him a few times, but he didn't listen, saying that it wasn't a big deal anyway. Shuejiachi said with a happy face. His barbecue stand is now very popular. I've been there a few times, and there are always a lot of people in line. He has the best business in the entire snack street, and it's really a cash cow. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. As a foodie, barbecue is a must-have delicacy. Especially Li Dong's food is delicious, and it is even more delicious when paired with homemade beer. This is why Shi Xiaoxiao, a foodie, can't get enough of it. What you see is only part of it. There is also a takeaway order, and a delivery boy usually has to pick up 5 or 6 orders. Shuejiachi said with a smile. Has he told you how much he earns in a day? Shi Xiaoxiao asked softly in Shuejiachi's ear. He told me a few times before that he makes a lot of money a day. Now that business is even better, he makes even more. I can't compete with him anyway, Shuejiachi said admiringly. In fact, she knew exactly how much Li Dong earned every day, because Li Dong told her the balance in his card and the contents of his expenses every other day. So you've never thought about taking control of the finances? It's an old saying that men learn to be bad when they get rich, so don't be silly and take it lightly, Shi Xiaoxiao said. I trust him. Shwejechi's face had a faint smile, and if you looked closely, it was a confident smile. Okay, as long as you know what's going on. Shi Xiaoxiao didn't say anything more, because it wouldn't be pretty if she said too much. Dinner is ready, two beautiful teachers. Li Dong shouted with a smile. What did Chef Li cook today? Shi Xiaoxiao teased. Pork trotters braised in soya beans, spinach pancakes, egg pancakes, and a fruit platter. Li Dong said with a smile. It smells so good. Shwejechi said happily, there is nothing more enjoyable than eating good food. Let me have a taste first. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. Teacher Qi, go wash your hands first. Li Dong reminded. Hey, you're telling a teacher what to do. Teacher Xue, are you going to do anything about this? Shi Xiaoxiao asked with a smile. I can't do anything about this, I'm going to wash my hands, I can't wait to start eating. Shwejechi said with a smile. Fine, I'll give you both face. Shi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes and went to wash her hands. What do you think? Li Dong asked, looking at Shwejechi. It's delicious, the pig's trotters are stewed exceptionally well, and it's not greasy, and the taste is also very good. Shwejechi spoke highly of it. Try the spinach cake again, I put a little dried shrimp in it, I don't know if it has a fishy smell. Li Dong said. I'll taste it for you. Shi Xiaoxiao smiled, picked up a piece of spinach cake, took a bite, and kept nodding. Great, Chef Li, when are you opening a restaurant? Let me know, I want to invest, take me with you to get rich. It's no big deal. Li Dong said with a smile, and picked up an egg cake for Shwejechi. You should eat too, you've worked hard. Shwejechi took the opportunity while Shi Xiaoxiao was buried in her food to blow Li Dong a kiss. Li Dong nodded with a smile, and seeing the smile on his daughter-in-law's face, what was the hard work of the morning worth? It was worth it. Oops, I can't do it anymore, I'm full. Shi Xiaoxiao finished eating the last piece of pig's trotters, slumped down without any sense of propriety, and rubbed her stomach. If she wasn't worried about the presence of Li Dong, she would probably undo her belt on the spot to relieve the pressure on her stomach. I'm full too, I ate too much today, Shwejechi said with annoyance. You don't have class in the afternoon, you two go out for a walk and digest. Li Dong said with a smile. Today is Teacher's Day, there are no classes scheduled in the afternoon, it's considered a benefit for the teachers. Chapter 42, You've worked hard, honey. Let's take a nap for a while, and then go for a stroll in the afternoon. Shwejechi said with a smile. Hey, let me tell you something. Don't laugh. Shi Xiaoxiao said. What is it? Shwejechi asked curiously. His junior, Wang Changfeng, actually stopped me yesterday to confess his love to me. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a strange expression. Huh? Shwejechi looked at Li Dong in surprise, her eyes full of derision. Yesterday in their professional English class, before I even got to the classroom door, Wang Changfeng intercepted me halfway through and said that he had liked me for a long time and wanted to have a passionate relationship with me. Shi Xiaoxiao told the story of being confessed to yesterday with her mouth hanging open. Li Dong was stunned as he listened. Is this guy really that crazy? Wang Changfeng went to the barber shop to get a new haircut, borrowed his classmate's perfume and sprayed himself all over, bought a bunch of roses and wrote a love letter. The content of the love letter was simply hot and spicy, not that it was indecent, but that it was written in such a childish way. It said things like, I fell deeply in love with you the first time I saw you, and when I can't see you for a few days, I feel an emptiness in my heart. Seeing your smile heals my heart. This kind of thing is not something you say to an English teacher who is always fashionable and avant-garde, and it is unlikely to succeed even if you confess to an ordinary college girl. As Shi Xiaoxiao told the story, Shwejechi laughed so hard that she almost had a stomach ache. You have to know that there are many people of the opposite sex pursuing Shi Xiaoxiao, and there are currently at least 3 or 4 male teachers at the Polytechnic University who are pursuing her. This is the first time she has been confronted with such a confession by one of her students, and he is still such a young second-year student. I just want to know how you refused after you heard it. Shwejechi asked with a smile. I said I don't like younger guys, I like more mature and stable older guys. Shi Xiaoxiao shrugged her shoulders and said. Then what? Shwejechi asked with a smile. Then he said something, saying that he would work hard, that he would not give up, and that you would see his actions in the future. Shi Xiaoxiao said in a very annoyed manner. It's not a happy thing to be so entangled by your own student, and it's also very likely to have some immeasurable consequences. It's your turn to step in. Shwejechi looked at Li Dong with a smile. Me? What can I do? Li Dong asked doubtfully. This has nothing to do with him, so what can he do? Go persuade your junior. You two are on good terms, so tell him to focus on his studies. There are more girls than boys in your major, and there are so many younger students. Why pick on a big boss when there are so many smaller targets to work on? Shwejechi said. I don't think I'm the right person to persuade him. Li Dong laughed and said, listen to me. I think the guy must have been inspired by me, otherwise he wouldn't have done it. He must be thinking of being the second Li Dong. If I go and persuade him, won't it instead stir up his competitive spirit even more? That makes sense. Then why don't you have a good talk with him, make your feelings and attitude clear, and don't let the kid get deeper and deeper into it? Shwejechi said with concern. What should I say to him? He's so stubborn, I don't know who he takes after. Chi Xiaoxiao looked at Li Dong intentionally or unintentionally. Alas, I had nothing to do with this from beginning to end. I didn't tell him to chase after you. Li Dong said sternly. A teacher-student relationship seems a bit strange to normal people. After all, as the ancients said, once a teacher, always a father. Especially since Li Dong has already graduated, while Wang Changfeng is still studying. Who knows? Ugh, I'm so tired, my head hurts, I'm going to bed. Chi Xiaoxiao rubbed her hair and said helplessly, before going back to the second bedroom. After she slept there last time, that room was reserved for her, and Li Dong would clean it a little every day. Let's go to bed too. Li Dong smiled and embraced Shwejechi as he walked back to the master bedroom. Husband, do you like poetry too? Shwejechi asked, feeling that she had a shared interest with Li Dong. I liked it in junior high school. At first I liked the heroic, manly poems, like with a strength that overcomes mountains, and a spirit that conquers the world. But gradually I came to like the more subtle ones, like though my belt grows ever looser, I never regret my love. Li Dong said. Hee, honey, will you teach me to write in the future? I think your handwriting is very nice, and it's even better when you write beautiful sentences like poems. Shwejechi said happily. No problem, I will teach you everything I know. Li Dong said with a double meaning, but looking at Shwejechi's appearance, she didn't realize it at all. Honey, how long have you had those flowers? Shwejechi leaned in Li Dong's arms and asked. Today's experience was deeply etched in her mind and she would not forget it for 10 or 20 years. 3 days in total. I was slow at first, but I got faster as I got more skilled, Li Dong said, counting on his fingers. You did so much behind my back, shouldn't you be punished for something? Shwejechi said coquettishly. You can punish me however you like, Miss Shwe. Li Dong said with a wicked smile, and then kissed the red lips directly in front of him. The kiss was very unrestrained and arrogant. The room was silent, with only the sound of the smacking sound coming from between the lips from time to time. While kissing, Li Dong's hands were also busy, going to places they should go. You're so annoying, always picking on me. After about 20 minutes, Shwejechi said coquettishly. Hey, I'll only pick on you in this life. Li Dong said with a silly smile, taking advantage of the situation. It's actually possible. Shwejechi murmured with her eyes closed. What did you say? Li Dong asked with a twinkle in his eye. The doctor said it's possible after 3 months, as long as you're careful. Shwejechi said coyly. I know, but it's too dangerous, it's not worth the risk. Li Dong hugged Shwejechi in his arms and said tenderly. It's fine to be so affectionate, but it's unwise to take such a big risk for a moment of passion. Just be careful, that's all. Shwejechi said to Li Dong. No. There's a long time ahead of us. After you've had the baby, I'll just have to make up for it twice as much. There's no need to be afraid. If there's really a problem, would I still be alive? Li Dong said with a wicked smile. You've worked hard, honey, Shwejechi said emotionally. Li Dong was able to think of her so much, especially after she had explicitly agreed, and she was still very touched. She knew that there were quite a few couples who had sex during pregnancy, some who had bleeding, some who had miscarriages, and some who were intact. Compared to the hardship of your pregnancy, this can't be considered hardship. Li Dong looked down and said. Chapter 43 Funny Navigation Voice Pack. After sleeping until 3:30 p.m., Shwejechi and Chi Xiaoxiao made plans to go shopping together. In order to find out what kind of navigation Li Dong had recorded, the two of them deliberately went back to the school first and got into Shwejechi's car. They started the car, turned on the navigation, and located to a shopping mall in the city. As soon as they started, they heard the familiar voice of Li Dong in the navigation system. Wow, I really envy you, beautiful girl, that you can even get Li Dong to personally navigate for you. Puff. Shi Xiaoxiao burst out laughing, this guy is really something. Xue Zheqi couldn't hold back her laughter either, wondering where Li Dong had come up with such a line. When they were about to leave the school gate, the navigation system announced, turn right ahead. Shi Xiaoxiao was slightly puzzled, shouldn't they turn left? But she still turned the steering wheel to the right according to the navigation system's instructions. However, as soon as she turned, she heard the voice say, hey, idiot, you really turned right. Shit. Shi Xiaoxiao let out an expletive, and even Xue Zheqi burst out laughing. What kind of godlike operation is this? What do you think is in your husband Li Dong's little brain? It's so dangerous to use voice navigation like this, so hurry up and replace this voice pack. Shi Xiaoxiao complained, almost making her veteran driver's mentality collapse. No, I'll use this for navigation in the future. I think it's pretty good, it's quite funny. Xue Zheqi said with a smile. She had seen people use homemade voice packs to navigate online, and there were even voice packs specially downloaded for celebrities. She had always used the voice packs that came with the navigation system before. But after listening to Li Dong's voice navigation today, she found it quite interesting and amusing. Cut it out. Shi Xiaoxiao resisted the urge to hit someone and drove all the way to the mall, where the two began their shopping and eating trip for the day. In the evening, Li Dong normally set up his stall in the snack street. Recently, because the semester has started, there are a lot of students, and business is booming. In addition, he married his goddess teacher Xue Zheqi, which made many younger students come to admire him and see what he is really like. Senior, give me 20 skewers of grilled gluten and 2 plum soups with less chili, please. A female classmate with a ponytail said with a smile, then scanned the QR code to pay. Okay, just a moment, it will be ready soon. Li Dong glanced up, then continued to work. Is the owner the senior who married our goddess, Miss Xue? The girl accompanying her asked in a low voice. Yes. The girl with the ponytail nodded. He looks very ordinary, not very handsome. Well, maybe Miss Xue likes this type. The girl with the ponytail said with a smile. I thought Miss Xue would find a rich second generation, but she ended up marrying a kebab seller. Shoo, that's Mr. Xue's personal business, and it's not appropriate for us outsiders to get involved, said the girl with the ponytail. They were both students of Mr. Xue, and they were very surprised to hear that he had suddenly gotten married and pregnant. Later, they heard that Mr. Xue's husband was their senior, and then they heard that the senior sold kebabs in the snack street. They felt that Mr. Xue was not worth it. They were part of the wave of people who came because of the reputation, but after eating Li Dong's grilled gluten, they couldn't help but praise it in their hearts. It was indeed tastier than the kebabs sold near their north gate and under their dormitory. Boss, 2 liters of white beer, 20 kebabs, 20 skewers of grilled gluten, 20 skewers of grilled pork, 1 grilled eggplant, and 2 skewers of big kidneys. 2 boys came in and said. Okay, you can sit inside first, it will be ready soon. Li Dong said with a smile. All guests are welcome. He vaguely heard part of the discussion between the girls, but he didn't care at all. After all, he was indeed ordinary, and he was able to marry Xue Zheqi mainly because of that night's soul-stirring sex. This kind of thing is only found in novels, and it actually happened to him. The other thing is that no one is free from criticism. If he went to argue with everyone, then he wouldn't be able to do anything else. For the time being, he just needs to focus on his kebab business, accumulate a certain amount of capital, open a restaurant, and then expand and grow the restaurant, creating glory. By then, who will still think that he is not good enough for Xue Zheqi? Boss, I'll take a bucket of white beer and a bucket of black beer. First, give me 10 skewers of grilled gluten and 10 skewers of grilled meat, with plenty of chili. Wu Jun put the 2 buckets in Li Dong's room and stood there chatting. The beer is on the floor of the house, you can just carry it. I can't take care of you. Li Dong said with a smile. Because he liked Li Dong's homemade beer, and in recent days, as Li Dong's beer production had increased a bit, Wu Jun would come by almost every day to take away a barrel of dark beer and a barrel of white beer. These 2 barrels of beer retail for 1,000 yuan, and Li Dong is giving it to Wu Jun at wholesale price, 900 yuan. As for what price Wu Jun sells it for, Li Dong doesn't care, he just wants to make his share. 6 barrels of beer and a bucket of plum juice in one night, the profit is about 2,800 yuan, basically the same as selling skewers. Li Dong, your business is so good, have you ever thought about opening a branch? Wu Jun asked while eating the skewers. No, I can't even manage it. Li Dong shook his head with a smile, while keeping up the pace of his work. Boss, is takeaway order 10 ready? A delivery boy asked. The gluten is ready, and the kebabs will be ready soon. Li Dong replied, checking the information. Boss, is takeaway order 12 ready? Another delivery rider asked. It's just ready, here you go. Li Dong said with a smile. Your skills are really something, probably a gift. To be honest, we usually grill a few skewers when we get together at home, too. We bought the whole set of tools and all kinds of seasonings and accessories, and tried many times, but we can never do it as well as you. But I don't see anything special about the whole process of grilling skewers, so how can you make it so delicious? Wu Jun asked with a smile. You already know the answer, it's a gift. Li Dong said with a smile. The order for number 10 is ready, and so is the order for number 11. Li Dong packed the skewers and handed them to the two delivery boys. Recently, the number of delivery orders has been increasing. Some are new customers, and some are regular customers that he recognizes by name. Because his business is booming, he has already started getting internet celebrities to come and broadcast themselves eating skewers. A few times, he gave in and appeared on camera. Some internet celebrities told Li Dong that if he started live streaming the kebabs, he would definitely gain a lot of followers and might even become an internet celebrity himself. Li Dong refused outright. He wasn't interested in becoming an internet celebrity, and he was happy just selling kebabs. As the saying goes, fear of becoming famous makes a pig grow fat. Li Dong didn't want to get himself into trouble. Chapter 44, Puppy. In the evening, Xue Jieqi and Qi Xiaoxiao washed up and sat chatting on the bed in the bedroom. Recently, Qi Xiaoxiao has been staying here for a couple of days at a time from time to time, which is just the thing to chat with Xue Jieqi and pass the time. It starts with looks, gets stuck in talent, and stays loyal to character. That's a great saying, but how can you say that Li Dong, a food science student, is more talented than those students in the Chinese department? Qi Xiaoxiao asked, baffled. Let me explain it to you in Li Dong's words, and you'll understand. Xue Jieqi said with a smile, hugging a pillow on which was a photo of the two of them wearing wedding dresses. What do you mean? Qi Xiaoxiao asked curiously. Some people get 100% because the test paper only has 100%, and some people get 100% because they are good at that subject. Xue Jieqi said with a smile. Brilliant! Qi Xiaoxiao's eyes lit up, and she gave a thumbs up in approval. You know what, the other day I asked him, I said, what do you think about the fact that the more beautiful a woman is, the more likely she is to cheat? After I heard that, I felt that this guy definitely has a mentality and maturity that doesn't match his age. Xue Jieqi smiled, reminiscing about the scene and feeling happy. What did he say? Qi Xiaoxiao asked curiously. This question has also been posted online, and there are similar scenes in movies and TV dramas, with mixed responses. He said that women are good at lying, but only the ugly ones lie to you, and you don't believe them. Xue Jieqi couldn't help but laugh out loud after she finished speaking. My goodness, you see so clearly? You hit the nail on the head at once, seeing the essence through appearances. Qi Xiaoxiao nodded and said that this answer was definitely 100 points. Speaking of lying, there is another thing that is quite funny. Never mind, I'm a little embarrassed, I won't say it. Xue Jieqi thought about it and shook her head. Oh, look at you, you've got my appetite up and now you're not going to tell me? No, I have to tell you, or I'll scratch you. Qi Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes and said. Okay, I'll tell you. It was the first night we lived together. During the lovemaking before going to sleep, his hand rested on my breast, and then he seriously asked me if it was fake. Xue Jieqi blushed as she said this. Huh? Qi Xiaoxiao looked at Xue Jieqi's towering breasts in surprise. Both of them are very sweet looking with fair skin, and they are basically the same height. Xue Jieqi is 1.7 meters tall, while Qi Xiaoxiao is 1.71 meters tall. They also weigh about the same. The only thing that sets them apart is the size of their breasts. Xue Jieqi has big D-cup breasts, while Qi Xiaoxiao has small A-cup breasts, just like her name. Why do I say it's a lie? Li Dong said that women are good at lying, especially when it comes to their breasts and buttocks. When wearing clothes, they look like a C, but in reality they are an A. Some women who wear revealing clothes look like a C, but in reality they have had silicone implants. Then he said a classic phrase. Guess what it is? Xue Jieqi said with a smile. What? Qi Xiaoxiao asked curiously. It's electric pad fraud. Shwejechi was laughing so hard that she was shaking like a tree. When Li Dong said it, she couldn't stop laughing. She Xiao rolled her eyes and felt that Li Dong was making an oblique reference. She usually wears underwear that looks more bulging to make her figure look better. After all, everyone loves beauty, but it's not as exaggerated as internet celebrities. Men are all bad, and they are not deceiving us women as well. She Xiao complained, not expecting Li Dong, who looks so honest, to be thinking about such nonsense every day. Life is a play, and life depends on acting skills. Some people act like they are, but they are deceiving from beginning to end. Some people don't act like they are, but they are discovered as they act. Shwejechi said. Now that you are in the second trimester, have you two had any in-depth communication? She Xiao asked with a wicked smile. No. Shwejechi blushed and shook her head. Actually, you can do it, just pay attention to the intensity. She Xiao said with a wicked smile. I know, it's him who doesn't want to, afraid of danger. Shwejechi said with a smile. Amazing. He is able to control his desire in the face of such a beauty as you. This man's willpower is quite something. She Xiao said admiringly, and couldn't help but look at Li Dong in a high regard. Not only that, the key is that they will have intimacy every night before going to bed. Shwejechi whispered softly in Shi Xiao's ear. Puff. Puppy dog? Shi Xiao couldn't help but laugh out loud, imagining the scene in her mind. It was really funny. Don't talk about him like that. Shwejechi said coquettishly. It's true, and I didn't say anything wrong. Shi Xiao said, laughing non-stop. I asked Li Dong and also specifically looked up the relevant content online. The internet says that there are several reasons why men are more attracted to prominent parts of a woman's body. One is related to residual memories from infancy, that is, the scene of breastfeeding as a child. One is desire, and women with obvious curves are more attractive to men and can stimulate the secretion of hormones in their bodies. Shwejechi said. Is he obsessed with your perky butt? Shi Xiao asked with a wicked smile. Shwejechi has a standard peachy butt. It may be due to genetics, or it may be related to her long-term dance training in school, which has given her a very attractive but curve and a perfect waist-to-hip ratio of 0.7. It's okay, he likes to put his hand on it when we sleep on our sides. Shwejechi said coyly. In fact, Li Dong doesn't just put his hand on it, he also hugs and kisses it from time to time. Forget it, what do I, a single dog, want to hear about the things you two do? Shi Xiao rolled her eyes and said, then prepared to go back to bed. It was already late. Just about to get out of bed, she heard movement at the door. It was Li Dong returning. You're still awake, Miss Chi? Li Dong asked with a smile. No, I was just chatting with your wife, and I was just about to go to bed. Shi Xiao said hello and went back to her room. Honey, you worked hard, let me pour you a glass of water. Shwejechi came out of the room and saw Li Dong preparing to pour himself a glass of water. It's not hard work, you don't have to do anything, just sit there and watch, Li Dong said, waving his hand. Oh, I'm not that delicate. As your wife, I should pour a glass of water for my husband. Shwejechi said tenderly. This little man, who was younger than her, gave her a different sense of security and happiness that she had never thought of before. Yes, you should, but not now. Let's go back to bed. After finishing his drink, Li Dong embraced Shwejechi and walked into the house. Chapter 45, Want another child? Mom, you wait inside for a bit, I'll be there in a minute. Shwejechi parked the car and headed back inside. She had just returned from class and got a call from her mom on the way home, who said she was already at the door. Luckily, it was a fingerprint lock, so she could just enter the house after entering the code. Mom, why are you free today? Shwejechi asked with a smile after entering the house. Why, I can't come to see my daughter. Zheng Xia said with a pout, can this child even hold a conversation? Sure, of course, you can come whenever you like, you're always welcome. Shwejechi came over and was about to pour her mother a glass of water. Don't move, I'm not drinking anything right now. Zheng Xia stopped Shwejechi. Then have a peach. Mom, they've all been washed. Shwejechi handed her mother a peach with a smile. How have you been feeling lately? It's almost time for your next prenatal checkup, isn't it? Zheng Xia asked as she took a bite of the peach. Today happened to be a slow day at work, so she thought she would come over and visit her daughter and son-in-law, as she hadn't been here for a while. She only had one daughter, Shwejechi, and her daughter was her whole world. I've been feeling pretty good lately, I can eat and sleep well. My prenatal checkup is on the 6th of next month, and I'll go for the Down syndrome screening and some other routine tests. Shwejechi said with a smile. Today is September 22nd, and she is already 14 weeks pregnant. Shwejechi's belly has already become noticeably distended. Where is Li Dong? He went to pick up an online ride-hailing order, right? Zhang Xia asked. Well, after he finishes his morning run, he'll go check on the new house. The renovations are almost finished, so it's time to pay the progress payment. Shwejechi said, and then picked up a walnut and popped it in her mouth. Li Dong says that walnuts are good for the brain and make you smarter, so she eats a few whenever she can. Have you been to the new house to see how the renovations are going? Zhang Xia asked. I went to see it once last week. It's being fitted out according to the design we chose. Anyway, every step of the way is being inspected, so I'm not afraid of being cheated. Shwejechi said with a smile. This is their new home, and they have a lot of expectations. Li Dong took out a loan to buy the house, and now he is paying a little over 20,000 yuan a month. Originally, Li Dong planned to do all the renovations himself, and his mother gave him 200,000 yuan to get started, but that wasn't enough. In the end, Shwejechi disagreed, saying that the two were husband and wife, and if she was not allowed to contribute to the renovation, was he planning to draw up a property division agreement? With these words, she convinced Li Dong, and after paying the 200,000 yuan down payment, the remaining 300,000 yuan was agreed to be paid by her. Well, this child is honest, handing over all the money for you to keep. Such men are still rare nowadays, more often than not everyone minding their own business. Zhang Xia smiled. She had a strange feeling about her son-in-law Li Dong. At first she was definitely dissatisfied, feeling that her daughter's choice had surprised and puzzled her. However, this dissatisfaction and incomprehension gradually subsided as her understanding of Li Dong deepened, and as her daughter told her about various matters over the phone. It was originally the money we received as a wedding gift and the dowry money my mother-in-law gave us. At the time, he didn't want it when I gave it to him, insisting that I keep it and saying that I should do the rough work of spending money. Shwejechi said with a smile. Well, anyway, you handle the relationships here. A husband and wife relationship requires mutual commitment and maintenance, which is what you young people call going at it from both sides. Otherwise, problems are bound to arise over time. Zhang Xia said, looking at her daughter's happy smile. I know, Mom. Let's have lunch together this afternoon. Li Dong should be back in a while, and I'll let you try his cooking. Shwejechi said, taking her mother's hand. Does he come home every day at noon to cook for you? Zhang Xia asked in surprise. Her daughter had mentioned something about having lunch together before, but she hadn't paid much attention at the time. Basically, the food I cook isn't very tasty, and Li Dong doesn't let me cook. He says that takeaway food isn't clean or nutritious, so he runs the car every morning and then comes home to cook for me. Shwejechi put a spoonful of black sesame seeds in her mouth and said. Now Li Dong drives an online car hailing service for 3 hours every day, dropping Shwejechi off at school in the morning, then going straight to work, and running home to cook lunch. If he has something to do, he won't go, and the money he earns barely covers the cost of groceries for the day. You need to watch your weight, otherwise your weight will increase rapidly in the 3rd trimester. I can see that your face is rounder than when we last met, Zhang Xia said. I know, but Li Dong's cooking is so delicious that I can't help but eat a few extra bites every time. Dong Li told me to walk around more to burn off some calories, but I don't want to move around when I'm alone in the house. Shwejechi said playfully, sticking out her tongue. If you don't want to go out, just do some yoga. The movements aren't too intense, and it's not good for the baby to just eat and not move. Zhang Xia said, looking at Shwejechi, who kept eating this and that. Well, I've been looking at it for the past 2 days, but I haven't decided which teacher's course to sign up for yet. Shwejechi said with a smile. By the way, do you know if it's a boy or a girl? Zhang Xia asked. I don't know, I haven't looked. Neither Li Dong nor I care. Shwejechi shook her head, looking at her mother in surprise, not knowing what she meant. Don't look at me like that. Do you think your mother is one of those old-fashioned people who values boys over girls? Zhang Xia said, slapping her daughter's leg. Hee, so why are you asking about the gender? Shwejechi said with a smile. If the first child is a daughter, do you still want a second child? Zhang Xia asked a question that took Shwejechi by surprise. The first child hasn't even been born yet, so isn't it a bit too early to be thinking about a second child? Shwejechi said with a smile. Then I'll ask you now, if the first child is a daughter, do you still want one? Zhang Xia asked, looking at her daughter. I don't know, I'm fine with either. Xue Jieqi said after thinking about it. There are many factors to consider when deciding whether to have one or two children, such as family conditions, physical conditions, and whether there is enough time and energy to take care of the children. Fine, you two can discuss this matter together, after all, you two will live your lives together. Zhang Xia said nonchalantly. Mom, are you worried that Li Dong or my mother-in-law will force me to have a second child? Xue Jieqi asked after realizing what was going on. Seeing her mother nod, Xue Jieqi said with a smile, I don't know what my mother-in-law thinks, but Li Dong definitely won't do it. He will definitely respect my wishes. Good, that's fine. Zhang Xia nodded and said no more. It's best for parents like them not to get involved in the affairs of their children. Sometimes, not only will they not be able to help, they may even do more harm than good. Chapter 46 Zhang Xia's Instructions. Half an hour later, Li Dong opened the door and entered the house. Because he had received a message from Xue Jieqi in advance, Li Dong had bought a lot of ingredients when he returned, preparing to make a sumptuous lunch for noon to ingratiate himself with his mother-in-law. Mom, you're here. Li Dong smiled and greeted as soon as he entered the house. Well, I've been here for a while. Zhang Xia nodded. Mom, I bought some hairy crabs for lunch today, they're very fat and delicious. I also bought 2 sea bases, we'll have steamed sea base later. Li Dong said with a smile. Zhang Xia gave Xue Jieqi a wry smile. The 2 dishes, hairy crabs and steamed sea bass, were her usual favorites, and if her daughter hadn't leaked the secret, Li Dong would never have known. But it didn't matter, since the young couple wanted to show their filial piety, she would gladly accept. Can I help you? Zhang Xia got up and went to the kitchen door, looking at the pile of ingredients in the kitchen. No need, Mom, just sit and chat with Jieqi. I'll take care of the kitchen. I was going to go back and see you and Dad these past 2 days, but Jieqi suddenly had a few more classes, so I didn't make it. Li Dong said with a smile. The family is doing well. You don't need to go back. If I miss you, I'll just drive over, it's not far. Your belly is getting bigger and bigger, so you have to be careful with your daily movements and not be so flustered. Zhang Xia said with concern. I know, Mom. How's my father doing these days? Is he still going to the shipyard every day? Xue Jieqi asked with a smile. She remembered that her father was always very busy and rarely had time to play with her. It seemed that he had only taken her to the amusement park twice before she started junior high school. Whenever she saw other children going to the playground, the zoo, or the aquarium with their parents, she envied them. Well, every day, he is more attached to his drawings than to his wife and children, and his work is more important than anything else. Zhang Xia complained, and it has been like that for more than 20 years, so she is used to it. Mom, what does a successful man look like? Or in your eyes, what kind of man can be considered a successful man? Xue Jieqi asked. A man who earns enough to cover the family's daily expenses, has time to spend with his wife, children and parents, is healthy, emotionally stable and has the right values is a successful man in my opinion. Zhang Xia said after thinking about it. In fact, there are many definitions of success, and everyone has a different view of success. Some people think that having a wife, children, a house and a car is success. Some people think that having a good career and a certain social reputation and status is success. Some people think that making millions of dollars a year is success. Li Dong has already achieved that now. Xue Jieqi gave a glance at Li Dong, who was busy in the kitchen, and smiled. You were waiting for me here? Zhang Xia rolled her eyes and said, this child knows how to play mind games with her. Mom, Dad's career is very successful, and there are so many certificates and medals in his study, but he spends too little time with us, the mother and daughter, at home. Xue Jieqi said. You're such a kid. I admit that Li Dong is doing quite well right now, and you've made the right choice. But what I hope even more is that 10 or 20 years from now, you can still say the same thing to me, and that's when I'll truly feel that you've made the right choice. Zhang Xia patted Xue Jieqi on the head, knowing exactly what her daughter meant. Men who are good at making money are usually very busy with their careers, and so they spend less time with and caring for their families. Money can be made again, but once time passes, it will never return. Let's wait and see. Xue Jieqi smiled happily, full of confidence in her future with Li Dong. The mother and daughter were having a lively chat, and the topic was becoming more and more personal. You two aren't fooling around, are you? Zhang Xia asked softly in her daughter's ear. A colleague at her workplace had sex with her husband when she was pregnant, and it resulted in a miscarriage. She had to take care of herself for a few years before she finally got pregnant again. What? Shwejiachi pretended to know nothing and asked. Don't pretend you don't know, you didn't have sex, did you? Zhang Xia said. No, Li Dong is afraid of the risk. Shwejiachi blushed and said. Well, that's a good thing, you're still responsible. In fact, there are many ways to solve this problem, it doesn't have to be that way, you know? Zhang Xia whispered, perhaps the topic was indeed a bit private, even though she was an experienced person, she rarely blushed. Yes, I know. Shwejiachi was too shy to even look up. And, although you two are still young, you still need to be careful about the frequency. Sex is like a sharp knife, if you overdo it too early, you'll have a lot to cry about later. Zhang Xia said. In her opinion, her daughter was so beautiful and had such a great figure, it was inevitable that Li Dong, who was still young and vigorous, would lose control and easily indulge in excessive sex. I know, Mom. Shwejiachi pouted. Women have their advantages, and they should be good at using their advantages to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Zhang Xia continued. Yes, I know. Shwejiachi nodded. I know, I hope you really know. Zhang Xia was amused to see her daughter looking ashen. Hee, Mom, I really know. Don't look at Li Dong's young age, his thoughts and mind are more mature and stable than mine, and he considers many issues more comprehensively than I do. Shwejiachi smiled. Mom, Jechi, get ready to wash your hands and eat. Li Dong shouted from the kitchen, and then first brought out a portion of steamed sea bass, pointing the fish head towards his mother-in-law. It smells so good. Shwejiachi closed her eyes and sniffed hard, with an expression of enjoyment. Looking at the presentation of the steamed sea bass, Zhang Xia had to admit that Li Dong was truly talented in the kitchen. And just now, a seemingly careless little move of Li Dong's made her look at him in a more favorable light. Steamed hairy crabs are here. Li Dong brought over another pot of hairy crabs, about 7 or 8. Garlic and vermicelli shrimp are here. Cold beef is here. Rice is here. Tofu skin soup with white fungus, lotus seeds, and red dates is here. 4 dishes in one soup, it's very hearty. Looking at the dishes on the table, Zhang Xia could understand why her daughter had gained weight recently. Although she hasn't started eating yet, just by looking at the appearance and smelling the food, she knows it can't be bad. Mom, you're well-traveled and know a lot, so please try it and give me some feedback so I can continue to improve. Li Dong said with a smile. Shwejiachi also didn't move her chopsticks, waiting for her mother to take the first bite. Zhang Xia picked up a piece of fish and put it in her mouth, chewing it and nodding. Not bad, your cooking is really good. Mom, you're too kind, as long as you find it palatable. Li Dong said with a smile. My mom is an expert at eating crabs. You've figured out your own process, so show it to my mom and let her give you some advice. Shwejiachi winked at Li Dong. No problem, Mom, I'll peel a crab for you. Li Dong put on a pair of disposable gloves, picked up a large hairy crab weighing 3-5 catties, took a small plate, and began to perform. Chapter 47, I'm Not a Kept Man. Zhang Xia felt like laughing as she watched the two of them sing in unison like they were performing in an opera, but she held back. Since the young couple knew what they were doing, she would just go along with it. Mom, this is vinegar I specially made for eating hairy crabs. It has ginger and sugar in it, and it's not inferior to the kind served in big restaurants. Li Dong put a dish of vinegar in front of his mother-in-law and said. Then Li Dong used scissors to cut off the legs of the crab and break off the belly button. He separated the crab's body from its shell. The crab roe didn't look very full, so it would be best to wait until the next month to eat the hairy crab properly. However, by this time, many people had already started eating it, unable to resist the temptation. With skilled movements, the heart, stomach, and gills of the hairy crab are removed, the crab body is divided in half to reveal the crab meat inside, and the crab meat is scraped out with chopsticks. The crab meat and crab roe inside the umbilicus are also scraped clean, and there is also a little crab meat inside the crab claws and legs. Put all the crab roe and meat in a small dish, then pour in a little of the prepared vinegar, and the dish is ready to eat. The whole time, the mother and daughter kept staring at Li Dong, mesmerized by his fluid movements. It must have taken him many times to eat this dish to become so proficient. Zhang Xia took a bite of the crab meat on the small dish, chewed it carefully in her mouth, and nodded, saying, yes, it does taste good. Li Dong and Shwejiachi exchanged a glance, both of them smiling. Mom, I'll peel some more for you. Juchi can't eat this cold food when she's pregnant, Li Dong said with a smile, then took another hairy crab and started to work. Okay, you'll have a hard time. Zhang Xia nodded in agreement. She often cooked hairy crabs at home, but she always peeled them herself, and Shuirengang only peeled one for her occasionally. Now that her son-in-law is so helpful, she is happy to eat something that is already prepared. It's not hard work at all. As long as mom enjoys the food, that's the greatest encouragement for me. Li Dong said, while preparing the hairy crab. Juchi watched the scene with a smile, happy that Li Dong could get along so harmoniously with her mother. Juchi, you should eat more fish. It's nutritious and doesn't make you gain weight easily, Zhang Xia said. I'm eating it. Mom, I often eat dishes like steamed fish, braised fish, grilled fish, and fish head tofu soup, otherwise I wouldn't have gained weight again. Juchi pouted. Because fish is easy to digest and she also loves it, Li Dong makes the most of fish, followed by shrimp. Well, pregnancy is hard work, and eating something that goes down smoothly can make you feel better. But as I just said, you should exercise, otherwise you'll have an even harder time later. When I was pregnant with you, I couldn't roll over in bed during the last 2 months. I couldn't move, and it was difficult to get in and out of bed. Zhang Xia said. I know, Mom. Juchi nodded. After finishing dinner, Zhang Xia didn't stay long, and drove straight back. Before leaving, she gave Juchi a card with 500,000 yuan on it. Honey, let's pay off part of the mortgage early, otherwise it's not cost-effective to carry so much interest. Lying in Li Dong's arms, Juchi said with a smile, telling him about her mother giving her the card. Don't worry, just save the money your mother-in-law gave you. I'll pay off the mortgage, it's not a big deal. Li Dong pinched Juchi's pretty face and said with a smile. For him now, there is no pressure at all to make the monthly payment of 20,000 yuan, and it doesn't matter if he pays it off early or not. What's mine is yours, and I don't have any immediate use for the money, Juchi said with a pout. Just keep it for yourself. How can a woman get by without some money? Besides, your man isn't a mooch. Li Dong said with a smile. Using my money as being a mooch? Juchi twisted Li Dong's ear and asked discontentedly. Hey, honey, you know what I mean. I'm saving up money right now, and when I see the right opportunity, I'll buy a storefront and start a restaurant. Li Dong said with a smile. The barbecue stand is just a transition, a starting point for him to accumulate the initial capital. His dream is to run his own restaurant, create his own brand, and make that brand famous across the country and even the world. Humph. Juchi pouted with a face full of unhappiness. Husband and wife are supposed to be one, sharing both the good and the bad. She understood Li Dong's insistence, that he wanted to solve the money problem on his own and not want to be a burden to others. But she still felt a little uncomfortable in her heart, feeling that Li Dong had not considered the matter while not considering her as part of the family. Don't be angry, sweetheart. I'm the man, it's only natural that I earn the money for you to spend. But if I were to take your money and spend it, it would make me feel like a loser. Li Dong kissed Juchi's red lips and said. Keep your money in savings for now, as your own private money. I can manage for now, and if I really can't make ends meet, I'll ask you for it again, okay? Li Dong coaxed Juchi. Really? Juchi puffed up her cheeks and pouted, her little appearance as cute as can be. It has to be true, truer than gold. Li Dong said with a smile, and then kissed the red lips in front of him, kissing for several minutes before reluctantly parting. Hee, honey, what are you going to sell when you open the restaurant? Juchi asked with a smile. In her opinion, Li Dong's cooking was delicious, whether it was stir-fry or dishes like poached fish and spicy hot pot, it was all delicious and looked great. A simple bowl of noodles could make someone want to eat it again and again, and if he opened a restaurant, it would definitely do well. My initial plan is to sell rice noodles and pair it with some snacks, like chicken tenders, potato balls, sour plum soup, and so on. First, rice noodles are not difficult to make, you can set up a variety of flavors, and they are relatively quick to make. Second, many people like rice noodles, it is considered a relatively common food, and has a relatively high degree of acceptance. Li Dong said. The rice noodles you make are really delicious, Xiao and I are both considered to have discerning palates, and to be recognized by us two foodies means that most people will like them too. I have high hopes for you, young man. Juchi said with a smile. Well, I'll take advantage of this time to prepare a few more flavors, so that customers have a choice, and I can finalize the snacks that I'll sell with them. Li Dong said with a smile. Different people have different tastes, so it's impossible for a rice noodle shop to have just one flavor of rice noodle. For example, Lee Dong has made the most spicy beef rice noodles, pickled mustard green and shredded chicken rice noodles, mushroom and shredded chicken rice noodles, dry stir-fried beef rice noodles, egg and shrimp rice noodles, and so on. Chapter 48 Lee Dong's Business Philosophy. Honey, I'm a little sleepy and want to go to sleep. Shwejechi rubbed her head against Lee Dong's face, just like a lazy little cat. Okay, go to sleep. Lee Dong said with a smile, and then just held Shwejechi in his arms and closed his eyes. After a few minutes, just as Lee Dong was about to fall asleep, Shwejechi opened her eyes and looked at Lee Dong with a pout on her lips, looking like she was being wronged. Did I let you sleep just so you could sleep? I didn't tell you to sleep, I told you to pretend to sleep, okay? At this moment, Lee Dong slightly turned his body, and they were face to face. Before the beauty could react, he kissed her red lips directly. Dear daughter-in-law, are you waiting for my kiss? Lee Dong asked with a wicked smile. Nonsense, I'm not. Shwejechi said stubbornly, but her body responded honestly to Lee Dong. After a while of kissing, Lee Dong tightly embraced Shwejechi and didn't want to let go. You're such a bad guy, Shwejechi said shyly. How could that be? I'm the best person in the world to you. Lee Dong murmured. The two got up at 3:30 p.m. because Shwejechi had another public class in the afternoon. Lee Dong sent his daughter-in-law to the college and then went to prepare for the stall. Senior, how did you woo teacher Shway? Share your experience with us. A boy asked with a smile, holding a piece of grilled gluten in his hand. If you give your heart, the chances of success will naturally be high. Lee Dong said with a smile while busy grilling the skewers. Recently, many of his junior schoolmates have come to ask him this question, wondering why Goddess Shwe would choose a schoolmate who sells food at a street stall. Senior, nowadays, there is no such thing as giving your heart in exchange for someone else's heart. It's all about money, the boy said dejectedly. He had recently broken up with his girlfriend, who had been in a relationship with him for more than 2 years, and had been lured away by a better-off guy. So he no longer believed in love, and now only believed in money. Kid, if you can see it so clearly, why are you asking me? Lee Dong said with a smile. She's already pregnant, and you still haven't let go. 1 bucket of white beer to go, boss. A middle-aged man shouted. Okay. Lee Dong looked at the unfamiliar face in front of him and smiled. Boss, I'm a friend of Wu Jun's. He introduced me. I had your white beer last time and it tasted really good. He told me you sell it here, so I came straight over. The middle-aged man said with a grin. He's a big drinker, but not a fan of white wine, so he has to settle for beer. He can tell if a drink is good or not just by taking a sip, and he can even tell roughly how it tastes just by smelling it. Okay, then I'll give you 10 skewers of grilled gluten to try and see what you think. Lee Dong said with a smile. Wu Gu is right, you're a young boss, but you're good at business. The middle-aged man said with a smile. 10 skewers of grilled gluten are 20 yuan, a bucket of white beer is 500 yuan, and you get 10 skewers of grilled gluten for free with the purchase of a bucket of white beer. The boss is not stingy. Business is about business. There is a lot to learn about doing business. Just because you have a good product doesn't mean you'll sell well. Marketing and service play a big part. 10 skewers of grilled gluten, boss. A familiar voice sounded. Hey, what brings you here today? Lee Dong asked, smiling, as he looked at Wang Xiaolei, who was a little tanned. The factory has been overhauling its equipment these past few days, so it's not been so busy, and I can get off work early. Wang Xiaolei said with a smile. Have you driven here? Would you like a drink? Lee Dong asked, smiling. No, I just came here to drink with you. Wang Xiaolei said with a smile. Okay, go in and sit down, and I'll have a drink with you in a bit. Lee Dong said. There are 4 people in the dormitory. Lee Dong is the one who is making the most progress. Not only is he married, his wife is also pregnant, and he will become a father next year. The other few people are either studying for a master's degree or just starting work. None of them even have a girlfriend. Boss, 10 skewers of grilled gluten and a bowl of sour plum soup. Okay. Boss, is the takeaway order for the 20th ready? I just finished grilling it. Here you go, enjoy. Boss, you make good grilled gluten. Give us 20 more skewers, with extra chile. Thanks for your support. I'll give you 2 extra skewers. Senior, can you give us 2 more skewers? No problem. Wang Xiaolei ate the kebabs and drank beer while watching Li Dong, who was busy working, and felt that the gap between the two of them was really growing. They have been roommates for 4 years, and they know each other pretty well. In the past, he just thought that Li Dong was good at studying, but what's the use of being good at studying if you can't even pass your exams? But Li Dong has proven with actions that being good at studying really does help. Just take this home-brewed beer, for example. The teacher taught him about this at the time, but at the time, when they were doing homework, everyone in their dorm room copied from Li Dong. Now Li Dong can make a lot of money with the knowledge he has learned, but he has basically forgotten the entire process. After sending away a wave of customers, Li Dong poured a glass of white beer and sat across from Wang Xiaolei, smiling and saying, "Cheers." "Cheers." He gulped the beer down in one go. "Your business is booming, the customers never stop coming, you can't keep up with the work," Wang Xiaolei said with a smile. "It's stressful. Every month, I have to pay the mortgage, car loan, and renovation loan. And soon, I'll have to add a new baby to the family. I can't sleep at night because I'm so worried." Li Dong shook his head and smiled. "Brother, you're going too fast. You got married and had a child right after graduation, and then you bought a house and a car. No one could handle it. Don't put so much pressure on yourself," Wang Xiaolei advised. "There's nothing I can do. I have to support my wife and child, I can't compare to you single people," Li Dong said, taking a sip of wine. "Being single has its advantages. One person can feed themselves and their family. But being single also has its disadvantages. You have nothing to do when you're full, unlike you, who can cuddle up to Goddess Shui and have fun," Wang Xiaolei teased with a smile. It took them a long time to recover from the fact that Li Dong had married Goddess Shui. It's like when a friend you've been close with suddenly tells you he's the cousin of a rich guy, and it takes you a few days to recover. "There are so many girls in our class, and not one of them is good enough for you? I heard that Ho Qian had a crush on you before, but you didn't do anything about it," Li Dong asked with a smile. Chapter 49, Loving Gluten. "You can forget it. It's all just gossip. We've only participated in 2 activities together, and besides, she's not my type," Wang Xiaolei said, taking a sip of wine. "There are so many people in your factory, aren't there any unmarried young women of marriageable age?" Li Dong asked with a smile. "Yes, there is. The cashier is a single girl, quite pretty, and to my taste, but I've been rejected twice when asking her out. I don't know if she doesn't fancy me," Wang Xiaolei said, pursing his lips. "Just chat with her more when you're not busy. It's much easier to ask her out again after you've become more familiar with each other. From time to time, send her some snacks or milk tea to gradually bring the relationship closer. You have to learn to play the high-end game," Li Dong said with a smile. "You've never been in love, so why do you have all these tips for wooing girls?" Wang Xiaolei asked in surprise. "I've never been in love, but put yourself in my shoes. How can someone agree to go out with you if you just ask them out? Unless you're incredibly handsome or you're obviously rich," Li Dong said with a pout. "Boss, 10 skewers of barbecue and a liter of dark beer," a familiar voice shouted. "Okay, coming," Li Dong replied, hurrying over. "Wife, Miss Chi, what are you two doing here?" "We came to eat skewers, what else would we be doing?" Chi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. "We were just out for a stroll, and as we were walking, we got a bit hungry, so we came over to get some skewers." "Can we have them for free?" Shuejiachi said with a smile. Because it was cold at night, Shuejiachi was wearing a light-colored jacket, with long, slender legs and flat shoes, giving her the appearance of an older sister. The lively snack street suddenly saw the appearance of 2 beautiful women with great temperament, which immediately attracted a lot of attention. Some people wanted to get a closer look at the beauties and purposely ordered some skewers. "Yes, the beauties have privileges," Li Dong said with a smile. "You have all the people, and you're still asking if you can have some skewers for free. Can all the beauties get free food?" Shi Xiaoxiao teased. "How is that possible? This is a small business, no credit." Li Dong handed Shuejiachi the toasted gluten and a few skewers of meat. "Hello, Miss Shui, and hello, Miss Chi." Wang Xiaolei saw that Li Dong hadn't gone in for a long time, so he came out to see what was going on and was surprised to find that the 2 teachers had arrived. He quickly came over to say hello. "Hello, have you been busy recently?" Shuejiachi asked with a smile. Although Wang Xiaolei was her student, he was also her husband's roommate and good friend, so he was different from an ordinary student. It's okay. I came by early today after work. I'll go back to Lidong now. When the National Day holiday starts, let's get together. Wang Xiaolei said with a smile, then turned and left. What are your plans for the National Day holiday? Qi Xiaoxiao ate some kebabs and drank some sour plum drink. We haven't discussed it yet. We don't have any plans for now. Shui Jieqi said, taking a bite of gluten. Let's go on a trip. I'm pregnant, so I'm afraid that if I get tired, it would be a big problem. Let's just stay at home. It's a bit boring, and we can't just watch dramas every day. What about you? Shui Jieqi took another bite of the kebab, chewing slowly while holding a tissue in her hand, wiping her mouth from time to time. Her elegant posture attracted the attention of the other diners. I might have to go home for a few days. My aunt's husband introduced me to someone, and my mother wants me to go back and meet them. If I don't go back, she's going to come and tie me up and make me go. Qi Xiaoxiao said with a pout. She was becoming more and more skeptical about matchmaking. Truly outstanding members of the opposite sex did not need matchmaking to solve their relationship and marriage problems, because they would have already been taken. So don't listen to what the matchmaker says about how high quality the other person is, and how good this and that are. If they were really that good, would you even be in the running? The remaining so-called high-quality men and women actually all have their own problems, either being too demanding, a bit too old, having a rich dating or cohabitation history, etc. Go ahead, just in case you like him, you can't miss every opportunity. Shui Jieqi teased. There are not that many good relationships, your luck can only be described as 1 in 100,000, you can't even wish for it. Qi Xiaoxiao said with a pout. Looking at Li Dong, who was busy grilling skewers, Shui Jieqi also felt that her luck was bursting. She thought she had just been picked up, and was thinking that she was unlucky, but she didn't expect to meet a man who loved her so much and treated her like a treasure. Boss, 10 skewers of grilled gluten, please. The two girls said as they walked over. Sorry, we're out of gluten today, Li Dong said with a smile. Out of gluten? Well, I see there are still a few skewers on the grill, right? The girls asked, suddenly noticing the skewers of grilled gluten on the grill. These are for my wife. I didn't put any seasoning on them on purpose. I'm really sorry. Next time you come, can I give you 2 extra skewers? Li Dong said with a smile. Okay, thank you. The girl said happily, then turned and walked away. Gee, these are for my wife, so I didn't put any seasoning on them. Qi Xiaoxiao imitated Li Dong's words and teased Shui Jieqi. Screw you. Shui Jieqi slapped Qi Xiaoxiao's hand, but her smile was so bright. Let me try your lovingly grilled gluten and see if it's different from what we ate. Qi Xiaoxiao smiled and took a skewer from Shui Jieqi's hand. My goodness. Qi Xiaoxiao let out an exaggerated exclamation after taking a bite, and then looked at Li Dong with an incredulous look and expression, and then at Shui Jieqi. You drama queen, you're acting a bit too much. Shui Jieqi was laughing so hard that she was shaking like a branch in the wind. Having a vivacious best friend made her much happier. Hee, you've noticed. Qi Xiaoxiao said with a pretense of annoyance. Mr. Li, do you need any help? Qi Xiaoxiao teased, watching Li Dong close up his stall. Great, help me wipe the tables and chairs with hot water first, then with cold water, and finally with a dry rag. Li Dong said in an authoritative tone, as if giving orders to an employee. Hey, you're being polite. You're actually taking it seriously, and you even dare to tell a teacher what to do. You've got some nerve. Jieqi, aren't you going to do anything? Qi Xiaoxiao said with a smile. You just ate so many skewers, move around to avoid putting on weight. You said you felt fatter lately, didn't you? Shui Jieqi teased with a smile. Oh, Jieqi, you've changed, you didn't used to treat me like this. Now you've become a guy who values women over friends. Qi Xiaoxiao said resentfully. I'm doing this for your own good, I'm afraid you'll get fat and won't be able to fit into those clothes you just bought today. Shui Jieqi said with a smile. Okay, it's all packed, let's go. Li Dong pulled the roller shutter down and locked it with the electronic key. Chapter 50, Visiting Her Parents. Honey, do you think I look good in this dress? Shui Jieqi was looking at herself in the mirror, trying to decide what to wear home. My wife is naturally beautiful, she looks good in anything. Li Dong said with a smile. Stop it, give me some useful advice. Shui Jieqi gave Li Dong a dirty look, but she was secretly flattered. A woman wants to please her man, and she was very pleased with her husband's praise. A woman's self-confidence comes partly from herself, related to her family of origin, upbringing, appearance, education, and financial ability, and partly from the comments of her friends and family. In particular, the comments of her partner on them will greatly affect their judgment and self-confidence. I'm telling the truth. Others rely on their clothes, and nice clothes can make people look better. You're the opposite. An ordinary piece of clothing looks good on you, but it's not the clothes, it's your beauty that's too obvious. Li Dong said with a smile. Oomph, smooth talker. Shui Jiaqi said with a smile. It's decided, I'll wear this whole outfit, and I'll trust Li Dong's judgment for now. Today is September 30th, there are no classes at school, and the two of them are going to go back to Shui Jiaqi's family to take a look. Daughter-in-law, do you think the father-in-law will kick me out? Li Dong walked over and gently hugged Shui Jiaqi from behind, asking with a worried face. On the wedding day, although Li and Shui had drunk too much and the father-in-law didn't say anything at the time, it didn't mean that he was really satisfied. This time, when they go back to her parents' home, what if the father-in-law gives him a hard time? Just admit your mistakes and accept the punishment, what else can you do? You've taken away his daughter's happiness, it's only natural that he'll be angry, Shui Jiaqi teased. According to her mother, her father has already stopped being angry. After all, the facts are what they are, and being upset will only cause more trouble. Besides, from Li Dong's performance over the past month or so, it can be seen that he has done a good job, at least as a competent husband. That's right, as long as you don't beat me to death, I will definitely not fight back. Li Dong said with a smirk. Damn you, what are you talking about? Say something auspicious, it's not good for the baby to hear. Shui Jiaqi knocked Li Dong's hand away, which was gradually moving upwards. Hey, baby, Daddy was just joking, don't take it seriously. Grandpa is very good to Daddy, did you hear that? Li Dong squatted down and gently placed his ear against Shui Jiaqi's stomach. His funny appearance made Shui Jiaqi laugh uncontrollably. According to the pregnancy cycle, the fetus is now the weight of an egg, about 10 centimeters long, and its auditory system has not yet begun to develop, so it can't hear anything at all. Many expectant fathers and mothers start fetal education as early as the 8th week and as late as the 12th week. 2 days ago, Shui Jiaqi was still debating whether to play Mozart or Chopin's piano music. Li Dong said that there was no need to play anything, that fetal education was pseudoscience and a surefire tax on intelligence. The two argued for a long time about this, searching for a lot of literature online. Both of them had their own reasons, and neither could convince the other. Later, Li Dong came up with a solution, searching for relevant research papers to see what the professionals had to say. Shui Jiaqi, as a college teacher, happened to have a login account for Zhihui.com, and after logging in, she found more than 60 relevant papers or special reports. Li Dong spent more than 3 hours categorizing and organizing these 60 articles, and finally came to the conclusion that prenatal education is indeed pseudoscience. There are data and arguments, but Shui Jiaqi still feels that prenatal education is useful, but she no longer worries about how to carry it out. Honey, would you be happy if it's a girl? Shui Jiaqi suddenly asked. I'd be happy, and I'd be even happier than if it was a boy, really. Li Dong stood up and put his arm around Shui Jiaqi's shoulders. You're not just saying that to make me happy? Shui Jiaqi said, looking at Li Dong. Of course I'm not just saying that to make you happy. A daughter is a father's little cotton-padded jacket, and a daughter will definitely be as pretty as you. Li Dong said with a smile. These were his true feelings. He didn't have the concept of preferring a son over a daughter, nor did he have the mentality of raising children to provide for his old age. On the contrary, compared to the naughtiness of boys, he preferred the quietness of girls. I just don't know what the parents-in-law will think. Shui Jiaqi sighed and said. It doesn't matter what they think. This family is up to us, and everything will be decided by our will. Don't have any mental baggage or psychological burden. If my parents give you a hard time because we had a girl, or say something unpleasant, don't worry, I'll definitely stand up for you first. Li Dong said seriously. He didn't know if his parents had the idea of male superiority, because he was an only child, and he was a boy, so he couldn't tell. But even if they do, it doesn't matter. Whether or not they have a second child is up to them. Thank you, honey. Shui Jiaqi was moved. Although she didn't know if something like this would happen in the future, Li Dong's statement just now made her feel a lot better. What are you thanking me for? Pregnancy is so hard, and being able to give birth safely is a great achievement for our family. It's unreasonable to care about the gender anymore. Besides, you don't decide whether to have a boy or a girl, it's up to my little tadpole. Even if you complain, you should complain about me, Li Dong said with a smile. Shui Jiaqi nodded happily. Let's go, daughter-in-law, it's getting late. If we go late, we won't be able to catch up for lunch, Li Dong said, looking at the time. Hee, the fact that you can think about eating shows that your state of mind is okay, you're not too nervous, Shui Jiaqi said with a smile. Shui Jiaqi drove the red coupe directly onto the highway. At this time, in a mansion in Tianqing City, Xuerengang and Zhang Xia were chatting. When your daughter and son-in-law come, don't give your son-in-law a hard time, otherwise not only will my daughter ignore you, she will ignore me too. Zhang Xia instructed. I know, as long as the kid knows when to advance and retreat and is sensible, how could I hold a grudge against him? Xuerengang said with a pout. You like braised fish, don't you? I went out and bought 2 this morning. Dong will cook them for you later. It's only right for the son-in-law to do some work for his father-in-law. Zhang Xia said with a smile. If it's delicious, great, but if it's not, don't blame me for pointing out the flaws, okay? Xuerengang said with a smile, as if he was looking for an excuse to lose his temper. It's fine to give normal feedback, otherwise how can we improve? But you can't pick on the bones and the eggs, okay? Zhang Xia said. She had great faith in Li Dong's cooking skills, and what she had just said was just to give Xuerengang a way out. Not to mention that Li Dong couldn't possibly make it taste bad. If it really did taste bad, it would just be so-so. Chapter 51 Playing Golf with My Father-in-Law. Mom, we're back. Zhang Xia just opened the door when Shui Jiaqi said with a smile. Come on in, why did you buy so much? How can just the 2 of us eat it all? Zhang Xia said angrily. Li Dong was carrying at least 6 or 7 gift boxes in his hands, and he was sweating. I didn't buy much, Mom, there are still a few boxes in the car, I'll go back for them later, Li Dong said with a smile. Yes, I bought all the things you and Dad like to eat. Shui Jiaqi said, taking Zhang Xia's arm. Dad, this is the Maojian tea I bought for you, I don't know if it's to your liking, you're the expert, give me some advice, I'll learn from you, Li Dong said, placing a box of beautifully packaged tea on the table in front of Xuerengang. Let me tell you, my father's knowledge of tea is absolutely top-notch, no exaggeration. Just a few words of advice. He can talk about it at length, but whether you can understand the essence of it depends on your own enlightenment. Shui Jiaqi said approvingly from the side. Xuerengang, who had been frowning and trying to show off, couldn't hold back when he saw his daughter and son-in-law putting on a show for him, singing in unison. Okay, I have just one thing to say, as long as you are good to my daughter, I don't care about anything else. Xuerengang waved his hand and said. Don't worry, Dad. Li Dong nodded and said. This is your son-in-law's first time at our home, so don't be too overbearing. Li Dong, come and sit down and have a cup of water. Ignore him, he has a bad temper. Zhang Xia greeted with a smile. How long are you staying this time? Zhang Xia asked, looking at Shui Jiaqi. I'll leave tonight. I still have to go for a prenatal checkup tomorrow. I should go for a Down syndrome test. Shui Jiaqi said with a smile. You look well. How's the quality of your sleep? Zhang Xia asked with concern. Sleeping is still pretty good now. I'm worried that it will definitely be more difficult later when I'm older. I don't think I'll be able to turn over independently by then. Shui Jiaqi said. So you still have to control your weight and not gain weight too quickly. The fatter you get, the harder it will be for you. Zhang Xia said with a warning. Okay, I know. Recently, Li Dong will go out with me at night to burn off some food. Shui Jiaqi said with a smile. Doesn't he still need to go out and sell things? How can he go out with you? Zhang Xia asked curiously. He will go out and sell things after we go out for a walk after dinner, and then I will go home. We won't affect each other. Shui Jiaqi said with a smile. While the mother and daughter were chatting intimately, Li Dong and Xuerengang were also chatting with each other. Dad, do you usually exercise? For example, play a ball game, go for a run, swim, or something? Li Dong asked with a smile. No, just take a walk, and occasionally play badminton or table tennis. Xuerengang said. So are you good at table tennis or badminton? Li Dong asked with a smile. Table tennis, I can't say I'm good at it, I can only say I'm a little good at it. Xuerengang said modestly. Zheng Xia rolled her eyes when she overheard the conversation between the father-in-law and son-in-law. The old guy is probably up to no good. Schweringong's a little is not really just a little. He won the first prize in the group table tennis competition and the second prize in the individual competition for their group, and has won several medals. The heavy industry group where Schwerengang works is not a small group. The total number of people in the group exceeds 300,000. Among so many people, being able to excel in a particular sport is already very good. Hey, Dad, I happen to be pretty good at it too, so if you have some time, give me some pointers sometime. Li Dong said with a smile. Don't wait for some time, why don't we do it today? Are you rested? I'm rested. Let's play a couple of games now, it'll be good exercise. Schwerengang asked, looking at Li Dong as if he were looking at a rookie. Do you have a ping-pong table here? Li Dong asked in surprise. Because he had just sat on the sofa when he arrived, he had not had time to look at the size and layout of the room. Shuejiachi had mentioned before that her parents' house was quite large, with more than 200 square meters and 1 unit per floor. Usually, they hired a part-time maid to clean and tidy up the house, and they also regularly hired a domestic helper to do a thorough cleaning. Yes, but I'm usually quite busy at work, so I don't use it much. It's a good thing you're here today, so you can play a couple of games with me. Schwerengang said with a smile. Looking at the warm smile on her father's face, Shuejiachi pouted, feeling that her father was too bad, and actually wanted to abuse Li Dong in this way. According to her understanding, it seems that she has never heard that Li Dong is good at anything other than cooking. He rarely socializes, doesn't play games, occasionally watches variety shows, and accompanies her to watch movies and TV dramas. Zheng Xia and Shuejiachi, mother and daughter, happened to be free, so they simply followed them over, ready to see how the two men played. Okay, just don't think I'm too bad. Li Dong got up and followed Schwerengang to the table tennis room. There was a table with the brand Double Happiness on it, and 2 pairs of paddles on the table. Schwerengang took out 2 ping-pong balls from a cabinet. 2 out of 3 games or 5 out of 3 games? Schwerengang held a paddle in one hand and a ball in the other, bouncing the ball on the table. Li Dong's eyelids kept fluttering at the carefree look on his face. Let's play best of 3 games. We can finish in time for lunch, Li Dong said with a smile, testing the elasticity of the racket and marveling at the fact that his father-in-law was so rich that he could afford a racket for over 2,000 yuan. Okay, as you wish. Let's practice with a couple of balls first, so you can get familiar with the racket, Schwerengang said. Although he intended to give Li Dong a good beating, he still had to observe the proper etiquette. Schwerengang served the ball, his movements very skilled. With a gentle flick of the bat, the ball flew directly over the net and towards Li Dong. Li Dong, who was holding the bat horizontally, lightly blocked it, and the ping-pong ball flew back across the table. Looking at Li Dong's grip and stance, Schwerengang was sure that Li Dong could also play, and he would see how good he was later. Schwerengang intentionally gave the ball a slight curve when he received it, causing it to spin. After warming up with a couple of balls, the match between the father-in-law and son-in-law officially began. Shuejiachi and Zhang Xia, sitting next to each other, chatted quietly. Will Li Dong play? Zhang Xia asked. I don't know, and I've never heard him mention it. But most people can play table tennis, it's just a matter of skill. Shuejiachi said. Well, judging from his posture, he seems to be able to play. Zhang Xia nodded with a smile. The first ball of the first game, Li Dong serves first. He lobbed the ball high, pulled it down hard, and the ball spun out quickly, but unfortunately it grazed the net. Reserve. He lobbed the ball high, pulled it down hard, and the ball spun quickly towards the other side. Schwerengang played a direct smash, and the ball landed in a tricky spot, just hitting Li Dong's backhand position. Li Dong hastily blocked it, but the ball didn't make it to the table. Winning the first ball easily, Schweringong's mouth slightly rose upwards. Indeed, his level was too poor, unable to catch such a simple ball. Chapter 52, Li Dong, who was badly abused. For the second ball, Li Dong continued to serve by lobbing the ball high. This time the ball was slightly lobbed a little closer, and Schwerengang leaned forward and hit it hard, directly hitting the bottom line of the table. Due to the speed being too fast, Li Dong simply did not have time to save it. Schwerengang easily won the second ball. As Li Dong awkwardly went to pick up the ball, a smile appeared on Schweringong's face, which had been set since Li Dong entered the room. He looked at his wife and daughter next to him, and his smug expression was really like that of a child. Zheng Xia laughed inwardly, knowing that the old guy was not holding anything back. Shwejuchi, on the other hand, had an expression of indignation, feeling that her father had gone a bit too far and had vented in this way. If Schwerengang knew what his daughter was thinking, he would no doubt sigh and say that his daughter's heart had already started to turn against him. For the third ball, Schwerengang took his turn to serve. He bent over, took the ball in the palm of his left hand with the palm facing upwards, looked at Li Dong across the table, and after staring at him for a few seconds, he did not serve the ball, which made Li Dong feel very uncomfortable. You should just serve the ball. Is my level really worth this psychological warfare? Finally, Schwerengang made a powerful underspin, and the ball flew in a curved trajectory towards the other side. Li Dong blocked it hard, and the ball flew directly to the side, almost hitting his mother-in-law's face. You can't just catch a ball with this kind of spin. If you do, it'll just fly away like that. You have to hit it hard or slice it. Schwerengang stood there leisurely, saying, and watched Li Dong run over to pick up the ball. Okay, Dad, but your level is not a little bit, I think you are at least among the amateurs the most professional kind. Li Dong said with a smile. What's professional or not, it's just for fun, I'll serve again. Schwerengang said modestly. This time Schwerengang changed the serve again, also with high-speed rotation, but the direction was the opposite of the last one. As expected, Li Dong still failed to return the serve. Although he also used a slice to return the serve, the strength was not enough and the ball still spun out of the table. Schwerengang said with a smile, the approach is correct, but the strength is not enough. However, this can only be improved through more practice and better judgment of the ball. In the future, when you have nothing to do, come over and we can play a few games. Schwerengang said, with a smile gradually appearing on his face. People who play chess don't like to play with bad players because the opponent's level is too low, so there's no point in playing, and there's no sense of tension. The same goes for playing tennis. Playing with a rookie will only lower your level and won't have any training effect, so most people don't like to play with people who are too bad. Schwerengang is the same. However, if the opponent is Li Dong, it's different, and he must receive his highest level of preferential treatment. As a result, the whole stadium saw Schwerengang just hitting the ball back and forth, showing off his slice and lob shots. He was simply the most handsome guy in the stadium. As for Li Dong, he was picking up balls here and there. In the best-of-5 match, Li Dong didn't manage to win even 11 points, and was completely dominated. What's wrong? Are you upset? Zheng Xia asked with a smile, seeing Shwejuchi pouting and looking unhappy. My dad is bullying people, the two of them are obviously not on the same level, and he doesn't know to let Li Dong win. Shwejuchi said indignantly. You are still too young, you only see the surface of things. Don't look at you as a university teacher, your emotional intelligence is really not as good as your student. Zheng Xia smiled. Why am I not as good as him? Shwejuchi puffed up her cheeks and asked, looking unconvinced. Zheng Xia could tell from her daughter's expression what she was thinking, and she knew she was wrong. Because their family had always been well off, her daughter had been spoiled and protected since childhood, like a flower in a greenhouse, without experiencing any hardships or twists and turns, and her thinking was relatively simple and pure. From going to school to going to work, her daughter's main experiences had been at school, and compared to the complexity of society, the school environment could be said to be much simpler. Li Dong has been abused by your father for so long, how could he not know that your father did it on purpose? But have you ever seen the slightest hint of unhappiness on Li Dong's face? Zheng Xia said in Shwejuchi's ear. That's because our Li Dong has a good temper. If it were me, I would have walked away in disgust a long time ago. Shwejuchi said with a pout. Although your father has acquiesced to your marriage, a large part of it is because he has no choice. Things have come to this point, and your father is being forced into it. He has always been resentful, you know? Zheng Xia patiently explained to her daughter. I know, but wouldn't it have been better if my father and my father-in-law had just drunk the wine on the day of the wedding? Shwejuchi asked with a puzzled look on her face. That was only one aspect, or rather a very small one. After all, it was your big day. What could your father do? He couldn't have caused a scene at the wedding, could he? He had been unhappy inside, but it had been suppressed. Since your marriage, Li Dong has been doing very well. He is motivated, cares about you, is good at making money, and overall is a good match. Your father's concerns gradually disappeared. But if your father is to truly approve of Li Dong and even come to like him as a son-in-law, normally he would have to wait until after you give birth to a child. However, now that Li Dong has come to your father's door to be abused, your father's dissatisfaction has been vented, and this process can be accelerated quite a bit. Li Dong must also know this, and he can't wait to do this for a day. What's the point of picking up a few balls? Zhang Xia nodded and said to Xuejeqi with great earnestness. Xuejeqi pondered her mother's words and looked at the two husband and wife on the field, who were playing fiercely. It seemed that this was indeed the case. At least Dad is talking more and more, his tone of voice has gradually become gentler, and there is a smile on his face. Okay, maybe I haven't been paying close enough attention. But you just said that my EQ is not as good as Li Dong's, and I don't agree with that. Xuejeqi pouted. Li Dong is her husband, and the more outstanding her husband is, the happier she is. But Li Dong is also her student, and that will never change. And there's an even more crucial point, Li Dong is 3 years younger than her. How can Xuejeqi admit that an older person doesn't have a higher EQ than a younger person, and that the older person is still the younger person's teacher? You know best whether you admit it or not. You two should discuss more about it. Don't think that just because you are a university teacher with a high level of education and culture, you can do whatever you want. You are still a little worse than Li Dong in terms of the depth of your thinking. Zhang Xia smiled. Chapter 53, Mother-in-law looking at son-in-law. Mom, can I understand it as the mother-in-law looking at the son-in-law, the more she looks, the happier she is? Xuejeqi said with a pout. If you insist on saying it that way, it can be considered that way. Zhang Xia smiled. While the mother and daughter were chatting and joking around, Li Dong was finally finished being tortured. Okay, that's enough for today. Your level in the back few balls has obviously improved a bit. If you play a few more games with me in the future, your level will improve even faster. Shui Rengang said with a smile. Dad, I didn't notice it until you mentioned it, but you're right. Li Dong took the initiative to go get a towel and handed it to his father-in-law thoughtfully. Seeing this scene, Zhang Xia pursed her lips and touched Xuejeqi's arm, meaning to learn from Li Dong. This kind of discernment is not possessed by just anyone. You're a smart kid with a quick mind and a sharp tongue. Jeqi tells me your literary accomplishments are also quite good. What you lack most is social experience. But this will naturally be made up for as you grow older, and the future holds great promise. Shui Rengang said to Li Dong. Did he really think that the chief engineer of the heavy industry group would find a rookie to abuse for no reason just to vent his dissatisfaction? You can tell a lot about a person. He abused Li Dong for an hour, but Li Dong didn't show the slightest sign of displeasure on his face. He always had a smile on his face, and every time he gave Li Dong pointers, Li Dong listened attentively. This kind of character is something that most young people cannot achieve. During the game, Li Dong was able to keep learning the key points he mentioned. And the fact that he was able to win a national award twice while at school shows that he has a strong learning ability. Dad, you are an old driver who has seen high winds and heavy waves. In the future, please give me more lessons and advice. After all, I have only just left school, and my youth is both my advantage and my disadvantage. Li Dong said as he unscrewed the cup for his father-in-law and handed it to him. It's good that you can recognize this. Of course it's not impossible to give me some pointers, but you have to play a game of ping-pong with me. Shui Rengang said to Li Dong. The picture is almost complete. It's no problem, Dad. Playing ping-pong itself is also good exercise. I just lack exercise and exercise right now, as long as you don't mind that I'm not good at it. Li Dong said with a smile. Xuejeqi almost laughed when she heard this. Li Dong insisted on exercising every day, doing sit-ups and push-ups the most, mostly in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon or evening. Li Dong's biceps were so hard that she couldn't even squeeze them. Okay, then it's settled. Jeqi said that you're good at making braised fish, and your mother just bought 2 fish in the morning, so let's see your cooking skills. Shui Rengang said. Great, I'm good at this, so just wait and see. Li Dong said with a smile. Washing his face and putting on an apron, Li Dong went straight into the kitchen. He was killing the fish when Xuejeqi came in, pouting and looking unhappy. What's wrong? You can hang a soy sauce bottle from your lips. Li Dong teased. Honey, my father went too far and made you suffer. Next time, I won't let you come. Xuejeqi said softly, hugging Li Dong from behind. Let me correct you, my dear. First, today was not a time of suffering, but a friendly competition between your father-in-law and me. I lost, so there's nothing to say. Second, I'm happy to have this kind of interaction with your father-in-law, as it deepens the relationship between us. He's your father, and he's also my father. Finally, as your lawful husband, how can I explain if I don't even come to your house? Li Dong said with a smile. Damn you, the first two things you said sounded quite plausible, but the last sentence is not serious. Not only are you my legal man, you are also my only man, okay? Shwejechi said coquettishly. Hey, I just love hearing you say that you are my man, so say it more often when you have nothing to do. Li Dong said with a smile. Humph, look at your smug face, you still haven't been abused hard enough this morning. Shwejechi pinched Li Dong's waist a little and went out. At this time, Zhang Xia and Xuerengang in the living room were also chatting. Are you comfortable this time? Zhang Xia asked with a smile. What are you talking about? I'm not that kind of person, Xuerengang said with a pout. I know your little game. Let me tell you, your daughter really hates you this time. Zhang Xia said with glee. No way? Why do you hate me? Could it be that she cares about that brat? Xuerengang looked at Zhang Xia with a surprised expression, feeling that his mind was a bit inadequate. Don't be so sure of yourself. The couple lives their own lives, not yours. As long as your daughter is happy and well, nothing else matters, understand? Zhang Xia said. I know that, but it's not worth hating me, is it? Xuerengang said speechlessly. Could it be that a married daughter is like water that has been thrown away, and now her heart has already been swayed towards that brat? Seeing his daughter come out of the kitchen, Xuerengang stared at Shwejechi's face. What's wrong, Dad? Shwejechi asked, puzzled. Sit over here and let's chat. Xuerengang said with a smile, and then told his father the truth. Is Li Dong treating you well? Yes, very well. Shwejechi nodded with a smile, knowing what her father meant, which was still concerned about her married life. Has he ever lost his temper with you, thrown a fit, or done anything else that was bad? You can speak freely, I'll always be there for you, asked Xuerengang. No, I'm the one who loses my temper, how would he dare? Shwejechi said coquettishly, putting her arm around Xuerengang's. You shouldn't lose your temper either, life is about living together, and it's wrong for anyone to lose their temper, said Zhang Xia. Well, I know, it may be because of pregnancy. Sometimes I feel inexplicably irritable, and I speak in a bad tone, but it's only occasionally. Shwejechi explained. That's fine, if Li Dong bullies you, you tell Dad, and Dad will fix him. Xuerengang said with a smile. Okay, don't worry, if he dares to bully me, I promise I'll tell you first. Shwejechi said with a smile, feeling warm in her heart. Only the closest people will always care about whether you are doing well and whether you are tired of living. Li Dong is already a very good boy. His cooking skills alone surpass more than 90% of his peers. And it's rare that someone so young can endure hardship, working several hours a day, standing the whole time, so busy he's about to fly, and still be able to speak gently and softly to customers. And he tells you all the money he makes, and discusses where to spend it with you. How many men can do that? Some people haven't been able to do that for decades after getting married. Zhang Xia said insinuatingly. Xuerengang was about to say a few words about Li Dong, but when he heard this, he was immediately silenced. This was a direct shot at him. Hee, Mom, this is all because Li Dong told me of his own accord. I never ask. Shwejechi said with a smile. That's because he respects you. This respect is mutual, otherwise it wouldn't last long. Zhang Xia reminded. I know, we'll discuss major expenditures. Shwejechi nodded. Chapter 54 Xuerengang's Review. The fish is here. Dad, you are an expert at eating fish, so later you can give me some feedback and let me know what I can improve. Li Dong smiled and came out with the fish. If he had placed the fish directly on the table, the head would have been facing Shwejechi, but Li Dong quietly turned the plate so that the fish's head was facing Xuerengang. This small gesture made Xuerengang look at Li Dong in a higher light, and Zhang Xia also smiled knowingly beside him, thinking that the boy knew how to get things done. Do many of you readers think that this is unimportant? Some readers even think that this is unnecessary? In fact, it is not. If you are still at school, it doesn't matter what you do, because everyone is a student and no one cares about this. But when you enter society, these details sometimes become very important. If you refuse to drink when the leader proposes a toast, and turn your chair when the leader offers you food, what do you think the leader will think of you? I can't be considered an expert, but I can say that I often eat fish and have some experience with it. Xuerengang said with a smile, picking up a piece of fish and placing it in his mouth. Yes, grass carp is a common ingredient for braised fish. Its meat is tender and elastic, and it tastes very delicious after cooking. And what many people don't know, and even some chefs don't know, is that grass carp has many scales, which can better absorb the flavor of the seasonings during braising, making the whole dish more delicious. Shua Rungang commented. Amazing! I only recently learned this myself. In the past, I mainly used sea bass and carp for braised fish, and I didn't cook grass carp very often. Li Dong praised with a thumbs up. Sea bass is also very good and is also a common ingredient for braising. However, some people are not used to eating saltwater fish, and another thing is that grass carp mainly eat aquatic plants, which many people care about. Shua Rungang said. He now has a clearer understanding of what his daughter and daughter-in-law had said about Li Dong's good cooking skills. He is an expert at eating fish, but he is not good at cooking it. Zheng Xia occasionally cooks, but the food she makes is barely edible and is far from Li Dong's level. Dad, try this fish head tofu soup again and see how it differs from what you usually eat, Li Dong said with a smile. Ha! This soup of yours is interesting. I'll have another sip and see. Shuirengang said in surprise after taking a sip. The fish head tofu soup made by Li Dong was slightly different from what he had drunk before, and the taste was even more fresh, as if a condiment that enhances freshness had been used. I marinated the fish head in cooking wine, added a little pork tenderloin to the soup, and used a combination of high and low heat when cooking to maximize the freshness of the fish, Li Dong said with a smile. Amazing! This time, it was Shuirenggang's turn to give Li Dong a thumbs up. I said to you too, can you stop blowing each other up for business and just have a nice home-cooked meal? If you think it tastes good, just ask Li Dong to cook more often in the future, since he lives nearby anyway. Zheng Xia complained. I'm not sure if Dad will like it. Li Dong said with a smile. It's okay. Jechi, in the future, when you're free, come back and visit me and your mother more often. I only have you as a daughter, and I don't usually tell you to come back and visit more often. Shuirengang said. Yes, in the future, come back and visit my mom more often. Shuijechi said deliberately. You girl, I've pampered you for nothing. Shuirengang said with a smile. Li Dong, how do you make this rice? Is there some special secret recipe? Zheng Xia asked as she took a bite of the rice. She didn't want to think about a complicated dish like braised fish, which she couldn't practice, but rice was relatively simple. The rice was still the same rice, so why did the texture of the two people's cooking differ so much? The rice she cooked always stuck together and didn't taste good. In contrast, the rice that Li Dong had steamed in front of her was separate grains, which looked appetizing and must have some trick to it. Mom, it's actually very simple to make the rice grains distinct. You can soak the rice before steaming it to let the rice absorb enough water. But the soaking time shouldn't be too long, about 20 minutes is fine. After soaking, the rice will swell slightly, which can reduce the occurrence of sticking. Then add a few drops of cooking oil and vinegar to the rice, which can make the steamed rice look good and taste softer. Li Dong said with a smile. Vinegar? This is really unexpected. I have been cooking for a lifetime, but I still don't know as much as you. Zheng Xia said in surprise. Mom, you are in the technical field. You are an expert at reading drawings. That is real skill, and it is not something that ordinary people can learn. Cooking can only be considered a minor skill, not worth mentioning. Li Dong said modestly. You are too modest. There are 360 occupations, and every occupation has its top talent. Your barbecue stand business is so good, and it is a living example. Shuirengang said with a smile. Seeing her parents constantly praising Li Dong, Shuijechi felt a little smile in her heart, but this was also the scene she had hoped to see. After all, a marriage blessed by her parents would definitely make her feel more at ease and happy. Mom, drink some more soup. This soup is nourishing and won't make you gain weight. Li Dong said with a smile, filling Zheng Xia's bowl in front of her. Ouch, I ate a bit too much today, and all the exercise I've been doing these past few days has been for nothing. Zheng Xia said with a smile. Mom, eating meat doesn't make you gain weight, and you can eat less carbohydrates. Li Dong said with a smile. Really? Then I'll drink more, it really does taste good. Now I kind of understand why Jechi's weight has been increasing so quickly. It's really hard to control your appetite when you eat such delicious meals every day. Zheng Xia glanced at Shuijechi's face and said. Mom, just chat amongst yourselves, don't mention my weight, it's a taboo subject. Shuijechi said with a pout. Her weight had increased a little too quickly this week, and she was annoyed just by looking at the scale. But she couldn't help herself at mealtimes, and after she was full, she started complaining about why Li Dong made such delicious food, which tempted her to eat too much. Jechi, you should drink more too, as calcium is better digested and absorbed when you've had some. Li Dong smiled and added another spoonful of fish soup to Jechi's bowl. Seeing that Li Dong only remembered her now, Jechi couldn't help rolling her eyes and pursing her lips. I'll deal with you when we get home. The meal was a great success, and everyone was full, especially Zhang Xia and Xuerengang. After the meal, Li Dong volunteered to clean up the kitchen, but Zhang Xia stopped him. Sit down and chat with your father, I'll clean up. Okay, Mom. Li Dong nodded and sat on the sofa, leaning closer to Xuerengang. Chapter 55, Father-in-law and Son-in-law Chat. I heard from Jishi's mother that you plan to open your own restaurant in the future? Xuerengang asked. Yes, Dad. The barbecue stand is currently just a transition. First, I'll save up enough money to start a business, and then I'll look for a suitable location. It would be best if I could buy a shop, so that I don't have to worry about being forced to pay higher rent when the business does well. Li Dong looked at Xuerengang and said, not making his goal sound too ambitious, but also not too difficult. Jechi said, although your barbecue stand is not big, the profit for a day is 3,000 to 4,000 yuan. Are you willing to give up such a large sum of money? Xuerengang asked in surprise. With a profit of 3,000 to 4,000 yuan a day, that's 120,000 to 130,000 yuan a month, or nearly 2 million yuan a year. This profitability not only surpasses the vast majority of ordinary people, but also many listed companies may not be able to achieve such a profit throughout the year. It's not a complete abandonment, you can also sell skewers along with the restaurant. It's just that the focus is on selling set meals, with the barbecue as a supplement, and other dishes can be added later. Li Dong's words were well reasoned and obviously well thought out. What are you going to sell? Xuerengang asked. The initial plan is to sell rice noodles, because it's quick to make and has a high degree of recognition. As long as the taste is good, the service is good, and the dining environment is good, there's no need to worry about business. Li Dong said confidently. Well, rice noodles are considered a popular food. Southerners and Northerners alike like them, and the audience is huge. The biggest taboo is to rush into trendy new products, as the risk is too high. Xuerengang nodded in approval. Opening a restaurant is just the first step. Later, I will slowly build my own brand. The ultimate goal is to make everyone think of our restaurant first when they think of eating rice noodles. Then we will have succeeded, Li Dong said with longing. Brand? Is it something like a chain store like Al Dente or a Jizen Ramen? Xuerengang asked Li Dong. I didn't expect Li Dong's plan to be so clear and ambitious, and he even thought of a brand. How could an average catering practitioner think so far ahead? Yes, but we have to take one step at a time. Let's just focus on running one restaurant well before talking about anything else. This process may be very slow, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, and maybe I'll get bored and change careers. Li Dong said. Starting a business is not that easy. It is rare for 1 or 2 out of 100 people to succeed. You are still young, so don't rush things. At this stage, just accumulate experience and take things step by step. When the time is right, open a store to test the water, figure out the tricks of the trade, and then open a second store after you are familiar with the process. It will be much easier to slowly replicate the business afterwards. Xuerengang said. Yes, Dad, that's what I was thinking. Li Dong nodded. A man needs to have a career, and it doesn't have to be big, but it must be stable. It's no good earning a lot one day and being hungry the next. As a man, especially one who is about to become a father, you must consider your wife and child before making any decisions. This society is impetuous, and most people only measure whether someone is successful by how much money they make. If you have a lot of money, you have a high social status and are looked up to everywhere you go. On the contrary, everyone can step on you, including your own relatives and friends. Xuerengang said to Li Dong. You're absolutely right, Dad. Look to the money, look to the wealth. These days, it's the era of laughing at the poor but not the prostitutes. People only care whether you have money, and they don't care how you got it. Li Dong sighed. I'm glad you know. But I have to remind you that when a man gets rich, he faces more temptations. He must guard his heart. You understand what I mean, don't you? Xuerengang said with deep concern. If someone can earn more than 100,000 yuan a month now, will they ever run out of money? If they don't run out of money, will their women? When a man becomes rich, the women around him will be more and more beautiful, more and more understanding, obedient and well-behaved. Don't worry, Dad. Li Dong nodded without saying too many assurances or promises. Because words are empty and weak, actions are the most powerful explanation. Can you make tea? Shui Rengang asked with a smile. I dare not say I can do it, I just muddle through, Li Dong said modestly. Here, try brewing a pot. Shui Rengang took a box of tea leaves out of a drawer and handed them over. Don't mind if it's not very good. Li Dong took the tea leaves and sat down in the chair next to him. Wow! It's the famous Biluakan, which is said to capture the essence of spring. Li Dong took a gentle whiff, and the fragrance was light and elegant, and it felt like it cleared his head a bit. It costs 8,000 yuan per caddy, so I wouldn't even offer it to an ordinary guest. Shui Rengang said proudly. This is true. For ordinary guests, the most expensive tea they can get is Mao Jian, which costs 300-400 yuan per caddy. Then I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. I'm not the kind of person who can tell the difference between good and bad tea. No matter how good the tea is, it will taste the same to me. Li Dong said with a smile, and kept busy with the tea preparation. He used boiling water to carefully rinse the lid bowl, the fair cup, and the teacup. While the lid bowl was still hot, he put in the Biluakan tea, covered it, and shook it gently 3 times up and down. Then he removed the lid and handed it to Shui Rengang. Dad, smell it. What do you think of the aroma of the dry tea? It's fragrant. Shui Rengang exclaimed, surprised that his son knew so much about tea. You were lying when you said you didn't know anything, he added, laughing. Shui Rengang closed his eyes and sniffed, exclaiming in admiration. I've seen the process of brewing gongfu cha before, and I accidentally memorized it. Today, I'm showing off in front of you, said Li Dong. In fact, he hadn't just watched the process of brewing tea, but had experimented with it many times himself. He had a special set of tea utensils in his bedroom, of course it was a very ordinary one, and he brewed it for fun when he was free. This is not showing off, many people don't even know there is such a process, Shui Rengang sincerely praised. If Li Dong was worth 60 points in his mind before today, after today's contact and conversation, the score has gone up to 70. Li Dong showed him not only youth, but also composure, unflappability, stability, charisma, and youthful vitality. Next was brewing tea in a covered bowl. Li Dong started by using his left hand to lift the boiling kettle, then used his right hand to remove the lid and hold it in his hand, ready to pour the water. There is a method to pouring the water, and it is not just about pouring it in. First, pour the water around the inside of the bowl, like making circles. This evenly wets the dry tea leaves, allowing the tea to release its flavor quickly and completely. Next, bring the spout of the kettle as close as possible to the bowl and pour the water in from the bottom. Why is this? Because if you pour from a high position like a waterfall, it is difficult to control the strength, and when it suddenly hits the dry tea leaves, the tea will fly everywhere. It is easy to get water all over the tea table, and it can even cause burns. Finally, the water must be poured quickly, because if you move slowly, it will increase the contact time between the tea and the water, causing the tea to be bitter and difficult to drink. Chapter 56, The Return Journey. Watching Li Dong's tea brewing process, which was as smooth as flowing water, Shui Rengang was impressed with Li Dong. It's not that tea brewing is that impressive, in fact, many older people can brew tea so naturally and casually. But that's only after years of practice. How old is Li Dong? A recent university graduate is making tea better than a man in his 50s like him. What does that show? It shows that Li Dong has a calm temperament, can endure loneliness, and has extraordinary perseverance. Why do you say that? Because people Li Dong's age are either busy playing games or playing ball. Which young person would sit there peacefully making tea? Being able to boil a kettle of water to drink is already a sign of hard work. Most people just drink straight drinking water or water from the water dispenser, or else they drink various kinds of drinks. Dad, please taste it and let me know if it's to your liking. Li Dong poured some tea into the teacup in front of his father-in-law. Not bad. Some people who have been in the workforce for many years don't understand the principle of not filling the teacup too full when pouring tea. Shui Rengang said with a smile. I took an elective course called Tea Culture and Etiquette in my junior year, so I know a little about it, but I don't know much more than that. Li Dong said. Pour the tea only 7/8 full, leaving 3 parts for human relations, leeway, and propriety. The father-in-law and son-in-law enjoyed the tea while chatting about life. At 3:30 p.m., Li Dong returned with Shwejechi. Before leaving, Shwerengang repeatedly asked Li Dong to come back and visit when he had time. The two continued playing ping pong and drinking tea, and Li Dong kept saying yes. On the way home, Li Dong drove while Shwejechi sat in the passenger seat staring at him. "What's wrong? Is there something on my face?" Li Dong asked curiously, as Shwejechi had been staring at him since they got in the car. "Is this the first time you've been to your mother-in-law's house?" Shwejechi asked, looking incredulous. "Yes, it's the first time." "Is there a problem?" Li Dong nodded. "You seem very skilled at this, not the slightest bit nervous or timid. On the contrary, you've got my parents wrapped around your little finger. I've rarely seen my father so happy." Shwejechi said with a pout. "What do you mean by roundly?" "I used my sincerity to impress my father-in-law and mother-in-law, so that they thought Li Dong was a good boy and could trust him with their daughter. As the father of the bride, how could he not be happy that his daughter has found a good match?" Li Dong said smugly. "Pish, you're so conceited. Who praises themselves? Isn't that embarrassing?" Shwejechi was amused by Li Dong's words. "Hey, I don't know if you've heard this song before," Li Dong said. "Which song?" Shwejechi asked. "There are two cows on the hillside in the east. The bull said to the cow, 'I love you.' The cow said to the bull, 'Aren't you ashamed?' The bull said, 'No, I'm not. I love you.'" Li Dong rubbed the steering wheel with one hand and held Shwejechi's hand with the other, singing gleefully. "Puff! You made up this song yourself, I've never heard it before. And, you're the bull, I'm not the cow." Shwejechi pinched Li Dong's hand and said. "Then you are the cow." Li Dong glanced at Shwejechi's chest and said. "Bah! Scoundrel!" Shwejechi rolled her eyes and said, but subconsciously looked down. "I don't know if it's because I'm pregnant, but it feels like it's gotten bigger again, and my underwear has been a bit tighter lately. So do you like it when I'm more of a scoundrel to you, or do you like it when I'm more of a gentleman?" Li Dong suddenly asked. "I won't tell you." Shwejechi snorted, turning her face away from Li Dong. Women, whether they are beautiful or not, all hope to be recognized and appreciated by their partners. But what does it mean to be recognized and appreciated? Shwejechi has looked up information on this before. There are all kinds of things said on the internet, but being infatuated with your body is definitely one of the most important things. Li Dong has done a very good job in this regard. Which day doesn't he hold her in his arms and kiss her a few times, taking advantage of her? At first she was a little shy, but now she's used to it and really enjoys the process. The tingling feeling makes her feel very happy. "Daughter-in-law, are you going out for the National Day holiday?" Li Dong asked. The 7-day holiday, except for the mandatory antenatal checkup tomorrow, can be arranged freely. "I want to go out, but I don't really want to. Being pregnant, I can't walk far, and I get tired easily," Shwejechi said after thinking about it. She had read online that some women had experienced bleeding due to overwork after becoming pregnant, and some had even miscarried. She shared these concerns. Compared to going out and having fun, the baby in her belly was definitely more important. "Then why don't we just go for a stroll around the neighborhood? We won't go far, and we'll find a hotel nearby to stay at night, so that we can have plenty of time to rest," Li Dong said. "It's not appropriate to stay at home for the whole 7-day holiday. We should go out for some fresh air and change our mood." "That's fine. Let's just hang out nearby," Shwejechi said with a smile. In the past, she would go out and have fun on holidays, most of the time with Chi Xiaoxiao, either domestically or abroad. Occasionally, she would go on a self-guided driving tour or join a group tour. Anyway, she rarely stayed at home. "Okay, let's go back and pack our things. We'll leave tomorrow after the checkup. Let's consider it our honeymoon," Li Dong said with a smile. The two got married at the end of August. Since Shwejechi was about to start classes soon, the two did not go on a honeymoon, and since they had just become pregnant and the situation was still unstable, they did not dare to go out and have fun. It has been more than 3 months now, and the situation of the fetus has stabilized, so they can go out and hang out appropriately. "Hubby, what about your barbecue stand if we go out and have fun?" Shwejechi asked. "Just close for a few days. It's normal for me to take a few days off during the holidays after working so hard normally," Li Dong said with a look of justification. "That Wu Jun always comes to you to buy beer, won't he be unable to do so if you close?" Shwejechi said with a smile. Woo Jun has now become his regular customer, basically 3 barrels of beer every day, sometimes 4. I have some stock there, so I'll deliver more to him today, enough for him to use for a few days. Li Dong said. Now that the output has increased a bit, he can make 6 to 8 barrels a day, which is the main reason for his revenue increasing significantly in the past half month. Li Dong's net profit for this barrel of beer is about 400 yuan. On average, he sells 6 barrels of beer a day, and the income from this alone is considerable. In the past, I only knew that selling snacks was quite profitable, but I didn't expect it to be so profitable. I want to sell barbecue with you, Shwejechi said with a smile. She only makes a little over 20,000 yuan a month, and Li Dong makes enough for her in half a year. How is that comparable? Chapter 57, Another Medical Examination. Forget it, just be a university teacher. It's easy, respectable, the income is okay, the social status is high, and you are respected. What about selling barbecue? Not to mention the tiredness, the daily smoke and fire are a disservice to your peerless looks and perfect figure. Li Dong shook his head and said. People still have a high degree of recognition for the profession of teacher, which is similar to the profession of doctor. When many parents teach their children, they will say, when you grow up, you can be a teacher, or when you grow up, you can be a nurse. No parents will say, when you grow up, you can be a barbecue seller. Hee hee, you have a sweet mouth. You charmed my parents, and now you're trying to charm me? You served my parents so well at dinner, ladling soup and carrying rice, and from time to time you handed them a tissue. My parents look at you like you're their own son. I was like a transparent person, no one paid any attention to me, and they didn't even remember me until halfway through the meal. Shwejechi said with a pout. It's the first time you've visited, so you have to make the father-in-law happy, right? After I've made him happy, I can come over more often. No, if one day you bully me and make me feel aggrieved, I'll just drive straight to my in-laws' house and complain to them, begging them to do justice for me. Li Dong said with a smile. Oh, so that's what you're thinking? What's this, a visit to pay your respects? Shwejechi was thoroughly amused by Li Dong's words. She had only heard of women going back to their parents' home when they were wronged in their husband's family, but this was the first time she had heard of a man going to his mother-in-law's home to complain when his wife had bullied him. That's right, we're also members of an organization. If I can't fix you, someone else can. Just like buying something, if it's not good, you can return it to the manufacturer for a refund or compensation. Li Dong parked the car and unbuckled his seatbelt. He had just stepped out of the car when a soft, boneless hand suddenly reached out from Li Dong's waist. Ouch, that hurts. Li Dong said with a pout. Oomph, this is a warning. Shwejechi said coquettishly. Dare to tell on her, I'll break your legs. Early in the morning on October 1st, Li Dong got up first to wash and check that everything was okay, then woke Shwejechi up. Let me sleep a little longer. Shwejechi pushed Li Dong's hand away and covered her head with the quilt. If you sleep any longer, you'll be late, and it'll take longer to wait. You can't eat until I've finished checking, my little treasure. Li Dong coaxed patiently. Ugh, it's all your fault for tossing and turning so late, and making me unable to get up, said Shwejechi, opening her dazed eyes and pouting. Last night, the two of them were lying in bed chatting after washing up. Given that Li Dong had behaved well at her parents' house the day before, Shwejechi asked Li Dong what kind of reward he wanted, as long as it wasn't too much to ask for. Li Dong thought about it and said that he didn't really want anything else as a reward, and just wanted a verbal praise from Shwejechi, a reward he had been looking forward to for a long time. Shwejechi immediately agreed when she heard about the verbal praise, and even repeatedly confirmed with Li Dong, asking him to think about it carefully. In fact, Li Dong was just making a casual remark to tease Shwejechi, and never thought that Shwejechi would agree. After all, Shwejechi is his teacher, and although the two are already legally married, it feels strange in his heart. Okay, it's all my fault. Li Dong coaxed Shwejechi into going with him, promising her this and that like he was coaxing a child. When they arrived at the hospital, there were already quite a few pregnant women waiting in line. Since Li Dong had made an appointment in advance, he just needed to sign in with Shwejechi's ID card at the call machine. Li Dong is not good looking, but he is young, and he looks like a student. Shwejechi is wearing a mask, but the half of her face that is showing is enough to tell that she is a beautiful woman, not to mention that her figure is top-notch. When Li Dong and Shwejechi appeared in the waiting area, they instantly attracted the attention of many people. Sai, this is your first child, right? A pregnant woman next to them asked Shwejechi. Yes, it's our first child. Shwejiachi nodded with a smile, looking at the pregnant woman's belly. Judging by the protrusion, she must be in the third trimester. There was also a little girl standing next to her, her daughter. You two look so young, but you should have a child as soon as possible. That way, the child is less likely to have problems, and you will recover more quickly. Wait 2 years and have a second child, and you'll both be running around, while many people haven't even gotten married yet. The pregnant woman laughed. Big sister, is this your second child? Shwejiachi asked with a smile. Third child. The eldest is already in junior high school, and this is the second child, who is in elementary school. My husband and I like children, and since I'm still in good health, we decided to have another one. Big sister said proudly. By the way, how many weeks are you? Big sister was very talkative and asked Shwejiachi again. 16 weeks. Shwejiachi said. Do you know if it's a boy or a girl? Big sister asked. I don't know, the hospital won't tell you, right? Shwejiachi said. She remembered that there were clear signs on the wall and at the entrance of the ultrasound room prohibiting the identification of the sex of the fetus for non-medical purposes. The hospital definitely won't tell you, there are many small clinics outside that can do it for 100 or so yuan. I had 2 girls before, this time it's a boy. The older sister whispered, her face full of joy. Oh. Shwejiachi nodded without saying anything, everyone's choices are different, there is no right or wrong. Let's go, it's our turn. Li Dong said, glancing at the display on the wall. In the consultation room, the doctor first explained some precautions, such as not eating too greasy or spicy food, not carrying heavy objects, not exercising too much, etc., and asked about the physical condition of the recent period, making a record on the computer. Have you had sex? The doctor asked Shwejiachi and Li Dong. No. Shwejiachi blushed and shook her head. You are now in the second trimester, and it is not impossible for the two of you to really be unable to resist the urge to have sex together, but you must pay attention to the intensity and duration. As the husband and father-to-be, if the pregnant woman is not very willing to have sex or make out, you must not force her. At this stage, the pregnant woman's emotions and psychology are relatively sensitive, so you must be more understanding. The doctor said. I know, thank you, doctor. Li Dong nodded and said. Chapter 58 Teacher Chi's Blind Date. Young people sometimes don't think things through enough, and just want momentary happiness. If something goes wrong, there's no cure. I'm just giving you a heads up, and whether you listen or not is ultimately up to you, the doctor said with a heavy heart. We'll definitely do what the doctor says, Li Dong said seriously, and then took Shwejiachi to the color Doppler room next door for the examination. In the color Doppler room, Shwejiachi lay on a bed. The doctor first used a bottle of coupling agent to smear Shwejiachi's abdomen, and then held a probe in his hand and began the examination. After about 20 minutes, the examination was over and Shwejiachi came out of the color Doppler room. Let's go draw some blood first, and after that you can eat something, said Li Dong, supporting Shwejiachi and looking at the list of examination items again. Well, I'm a little panicked by being hungry. Shwejiachi said, the taste of hunger is really unpleasant. In the past, when she was trying to control her figure, she didn't feel what could be done by going hungry for a meal, but since becoming pregnant, she feels unbearable after being hungry for a while. You've worked hard, daughter-in-law, just hang in there a little longer, it'll be over soon. Li Dong said with concern. What can I do, it's only tiring in the back. Shwejiachi pouted. Whenever she gets hungry, she has to eat quickly, otherwise she will soon suffer from low blood sugar, feel weak, and in severe cases, she will feel dizzy and unable to stand. After giving birth to this one, I won't have any more children. It's too hard. And I don't know if this child will know how to be grateful when he grows up. If he turns out to be an ungrateful son, he will only make the two of us die of anger. Li Dong said with a sigh. In the past, people said that raising a child is a way to prevent old age, but now they say that raising an old person is a way to prevent a child. That will never happen. My baby will definitely be very obedient. Shwejiachi gave Li Dong a little tap on the arm and said discontentedly. I hope so. In the future, he can be mean to me, because I didn't go through the hard work of carrying a child for 9 months, nor did I experience the life or death moment of giving birth. But if he dares to be mean to you, don't look at me as mild-tempered, I'll give him a good slap in the face too. Li Dong said. Go away, you're not saying anything nice. Shwejiachi said coquettishly. But Li Dong's words just now made her heart feel a lot warmer. Many men treat pregnant women well not because they love and care for them, but because they are after the child. You can feel from his words that he is child-centered, and treats his daughter-in-law as just a delivery person. It was almost 11 o'clock when all the tests were done. Except for the results of the Down syndrome test, which could not be obtained until 5 days later, the results of the other tests were all normal. When they got home, Li Dong went straight to the kitchen to cook. After the blood test, Shui Jieqi ate some soda crackers and sugar-free bread to fill her stomach, but now she was hungry again. "Sis, I really don't know what to say today." "Do you know?" Shi Xiaoxiao called Shui Jieqi, and her voice was full of complaints as soon as she spoke. "What's wrong? Did you encounter something strange?" Shui Jieqi asked with a smile. "Didn't you go on a blind date today? That man completely overturned my 3 views. He was really strange," Shi Xiaoxiao complained. "What happened? Tell me, it will make me happy." Shui Jieqi teased. "You, have some compassion, will you?" The guy said right away that his annual income was around 200, and asked if I could quit my job and stay at home after we got married and be a full-time housewife. I was shocked by his first words. Does 200 sound like a lot? A person who sells barbecue at the food court makes that much in a year. Shi Xiaoxiao said indignantly. Hey, don't make fun of our Li Dong. I'll let it go this time, but next time I'll scratch your face if you make fun of him again. Shui Jieqi corrected. He's a guy who values his friends over his friends. Then he asked me how many children I was willing to have at most. He said his idea was that there should be no less than 3, the more the better, and that he could afford it. I really wanted to ask him if he hadn't taken his medication when he went out, or if he had snuck out of a mental hospital. He didn't even wait until we got started before he started asking about having children. Shi Xiaoxiao continued to vent. It's really strange. What does he look like? Asked Shui Jieqi. He's not handsome, but not ugly either. About 1.75 meters tall, not my type anyway. He dresses quite formally, wears gold-rimmed glasses, looks quite refined, but what he says is just so thoughtless. Shi Xiaoxiao said. That's why you need to get to know him better. You can't really understand anything in such a short time as a blind date. Shui Jieqi said. He also asked me how many boyfriends I've had, how many times I've lived together, and if I've ever had an abortion. Shi Xiaoxiao said. Are blind dates now being asked so directly? Shui Jieqi asked in surprise. Although she has never been on a blind date, she has heard her friends and classmates talk about it. Usually, you introduce yourself first, and then find some common topics to chat about. If you feel okay with each other, you can exchange contact information and chat in detail later. Some people have a more fun chat, and they might go watch a movie or go for a walk after dinner. Some people are more direct, but not as direct as this. The point is that they didn't even say a few words, so I was so angry that I poured lemonade on him on the spot and turned around and left. Shi Xiaoxiao said angrily. Beautiful, you have to treat people like this. Shui Jieqi said with a snap of her fingers. I was so angry that I immediately told my mother about it. My mother was also very angry and scolded my uncle for introducing such a jerk. Shi Xiaoxiao said with a grunt. Exactly. Shui Jieqi said. Dinner is ready, daughter-in-law. Li Dong came out with the food and placed it on the table. Have you eaten? I'm ready to eat. Shui Jieqi asked. It's only a few o'clock, did you have lunch so early? Shi Xiaoxiao looked at the time, it wasn't even noon yet. I went for a prenatal checkup in the morning, so I skipped breakfast and had lunch a little early. Shui Jieqi took a sip of chicken soup, her happy eyes narrowing. Everything checked out normally, right? Shi Xiaoxiao asked. Yes, everything was normal. The next time I go, I'll have to get a 4D scan. I heard it's not easy to do, and the baby doesn't have to cooperate. Shui Jieqi said, taking over a chicken leg passed to her by Li Dong and taking a big bite. If he doesn't cooperate, just beat him up. Shi Xiaoxiao said heartlessly. The two of them chatted for a few more words before hanging up the phone. Shui Jieqi couldn't wait to tuck in. Teacher Qi, going on a blind date? Li Dong asked with a smile. Well, I met a strange person and we're having a rant about it. Shui Jieqi nibbled on her chicken leg while telling Li Dong about the process. In today's society, people are rather impetuous. Blind dates are generally quite straightforward. You first reveal your own conditions, such as your car, house, savings, income, etc., and then see if the other person's conditions can meet your own requirements. If they can, you continue chatting. If not, the date may end after dinner, with the main focus being on efficiency. Li Dong said. That's good, so we don't waste each other's time. Shwejechi said, taking another sip of the chicken soup. It really is delicious. Chapter 59, Renting a Factory Building. I read some interesting quotes online, do you want to hear them? Li Dong said, serving Shwejechi another bowl of chicken soup. What are they? Shwejechi asked, spitting out a chicken bone. A young couple went out for fun. The man said to the woman, if you can't drink iced drinks, go home early and rest. Li Dong said. What does it mean? Shwejechi asked, looking at Li Dong blankly. She didn't understand what the meaning was. Ha? Li Dong was at a loss for words when he saw Shwejechi's confusion. Big sister, do you really not understand or just pretend not to understand? Obviously you're 3 years older than me, okay, acting like you're 3 years older than her. What do you mean by if you can't drink ice, just go home and rest? If you can drink ice, you don't need to go home and rest? Shwejechi asked with a pout. Cough, forget it, drink some chicken soup, it's nutritious. Li Dong was sure that Shwejechi was a pure little white rabbit. Looking at Shwejechi's confused expression, Li Dong felt embarrassed to continue. I hate you, you're not finishing your sentence, hurry up and say it. Shwejechi glared at Li Dong and said. A girl who can't drink ice means she's on her period, and if she's on her period, she can't do that, so if she can't do that, there's no point wasting time. Li Dong said angrily. Ha! Shwejechi rolled her eyes. There's another similar saying, if you want to go home after dinner, you can go home now. Li Dong said with a smile. Is that what you mean? Shwejechi asked with a pout. Yes. Nowadays young people are very direct in their relationships, especially those who like to have fun. They hang out in internet cafes and bars all day, waiting to hunt for women or have one-night stands. Li Dong said. In the future, you mustn't go to bars and karaoke bars, got it? Shwejechi suddenly remembered something and stared at Li Dong menacingly. If I say that was the first time I went to a bar, do you believe me? Li Dong put down his chopsticks, looked at Shwejechi with a devout face, and asked. Looking at Li Dong's serious face, Shwejechi nodded and said, I believe you. After dinner, Li Dong went to clean up the kitchen, while Shwejechi washed up and then went to bed. Every day after lunch, she would feel drowsy, and if she didn't sleep for a while, she would be listless for the rest of the afternoon. Just as Li Dong finished cleaning up the kitchen and was about to cuddle up to his wife for a nap, the phone rang. Hello, Brother Wu, what's up? After glancing at the caller ID, Li Dong pressed the answer button. I've found a venue for you. Do you want to come and have a look? If it's suitable, you can sign the contract directly? Wu Jun asked. Last week, when Wu Jun came to buy wine, he told Li Dong again that his home-brewed beer was very popular, but the output was too low to meet customer demand, resulting in the loss of many customers. After some consideration, Li Dong had a good discussion with Shwejechi and decided to rent a fixed factory building dedicated to making craft beer and then purchase a new set of high-capacity equipment to increase production. The reason for this decision was that Li Dong had calculated that purchasing 300-liter craft beer brewing systems would require an investment of about 200,000 yuan, and these 3 systems would occupy an area of no more than 150 square meters. A monthly rent of 20,000 yuan for a 150 square meter site would be sufficient. The overall investment is not large, but the income is considerable. The 300-liter brewing equipment can produce 900 liters of homemade beer per day. If all of it can be sold, the daily turnover will be 18,000 yuan. If you don't count the rent and labor, the net profit can reach about 15,000 yuan. For example, if you brew for 20 days a month, the net profit is 300,000 yuan. Even if you deduct the wages of 2 or 3 workers and the rent, and then deduct the depreciation and maintenance of the equipment, the net profit per month is also about 250,000 yuan. Even if sales are slow and only 300 liters can be sold per day, the monthly net profit can still reach more than 80,000 yuan, which is already very good. That fast? Wu Ge, send me your location, I'll be right there. Li Dong said happily. Men have to be able to earn a living, especially after marrying such a beautiful daughter-in-law. The pressure on Li Dong's mind is huge. Having money can avoid many conflicts and troubles and make life easier. The speed at which he can make money selling barbecue is no longer satisfactory, so increasing the sales of craft beer significantly is currently the most appropriate solution. After about 30 minutes, Li Dong arrived at an industrial park, the Tianjin City Science and Technology Industrial Park. Come, Li Dong, what do you think? Wu Jun took Li Dong's arm and walked into a factory building. This technology industrial park was built about 7 or 8 years ago. At first, it was built to attract internet companies and technology companies to move in, but the results of attracting investment were not ideal. The city government, in order not to waste resources, simply let go and let anyone move in. This factory building is 2 stories high, with about 150 to 160 square meters on the first floor, a ceiling height of 4.5 meters, and all the utilities connected. There is no need to specially renovate the factory building for brewing beer, so it can be used directly. It's pretty good, it's enough for me. What about the rent? Li Dong asked. The monthly rent is 20,000 yuan, with a deposit in 3 months' rent, and the contract is signed for at least 1 year at a time. Wu Jun said. Okay, these terms are acceptable. Li Dong readily agreed. After signing the contract with the park, Li Dong placed an order for the craft beer brewing equipment directly. It will be delivered in about a week, and the seller will be responsible for assembling it. You're going to take off this time, and Brother Wu will be hugging your thighs in the future, Wu Jun teased. Don't be formal, Brother Wu, I'll need your support in the future, Li Dong said politely. Wu Jun is now his biggest craft beer buyer, accounting for about 1/3 of his business alone. Another large part of his business is takeaway orders, which also account for about 1/3, and the rest is from individual customers. No problem. Now that you have the space, you also need to get the equipment. Don't forget to get the relevant documents and procedures in order. If you want to do business for a long time, the procedures must not go wrong. Wu Jun reminded. I remember, Wu Ge, thanks for reminding me. Li Dong nodded with a smile. He had already done it once before, so Li Dong knew the procedures and processes. By the time Li Dong got home, it was already 4:30 p.m. Shuijuchi was sitting on the bed watching a drama. Have you seen the place? What do you think? Shuijuchi asked with a smile. She fell asleep after lying down at noon, and when she woke up, she didn't see Li Dong and didn't see anyone in the house. She was about to call Li Dong when she saw that Li Dong had sent her a message explaining the situation. The rental contract has been signed, the equipment will be delivered in a week, and a great career is about to set sail. In the future, I will take you out to eat and drink. Li Dong said excitedly, putting his arm around Shuijuchi's shoulders. Great, I'll be able to live a good life with Boss Li from now on. Shuijuchi said in agreement. Chapter 60, Interesting Things in the Boudoir. Daughter-in-law, this is my plan for the trip. Please take a look and let me know if there's anything inappropriate or if you have a better suggestion. I'll make some changes. Li Dong took a piece of paper from the desk and handed it to Shuijuchi. Having a plan for everything is Li Dong's usual approach. He doesn't fight unprepared. Wow, Li Dong, you're good, you've put in a lot of effort, haven't you? Shuijuchi teased, looking at the schedule for the next 5 days written on the paper. It was very detailed, from the tourist attractions to where to eat, and even the time for breaks in between was arranged. When she went on holiday with Qi Xiaoxiao before, they would just make a rough itinerary, choose a few attractions and go to them one after the other. Often they would just go first and then think about what to do next when they got to a place, which was nowhere near as detailed as Li Dong's plan. No, it took about 30 minutes. You need a plan to be able to act purposefully. You can't just think about it when you get there, that would be stupid. Li Dong said casually. Seeing Li Dong's smug look, Shuijuchi snorted in her heart. Fine, you've got some nerve, daring to scold people, right? Do you have a problem? Seeing that Shuijuchi hadn't said anything for a long time, Li Dong asked. Yes, there is a big problem. Can't you even notice such an obvious problem? Shuijuchi rolled her eyes and said, let you talk nonsense. Ah, what's the problem? Li Dong asked in surprise. He had gone over this plan from beginning to end several times, so there shouldn't be any major oversights. But looking at Shuijuchi's determined face, he wasn't sure anymore. Look at what you wrote here, have lunch at Diyue building, then go back to the hotel and take a nap for 2 hours. If I remember correctly, the business at the Diyue building is very busy, and it's going to take a long time to wait in line for your food, right? It might be 1 or 2 o'clock after lunch, will there be enough time to go back to the hotel and sleep? Shuijuchi said, picking fault with the plan. Well, how about taking a nap in the car? Li Dong said uncertainly. At the time, he had also considered this, but sleeping in the car was too uncomfortable. He himself didn't mind, but Shwejiachi was pregnant and had to sleep well. What do you think, classmate Li Dong? Shwejiachi asked with a smile. Humph. It's better to offend a villain than a woman. I really don't think it's a good idea. How should I fix it? Tell me to think about it. Li Dong rubbed his chin and fell into deep thought. Watching Li Dong frowning and racking his brains, Shwejiachi felt a burst of pride and tried hard not to laugh. Why don't we compress the previous itinerary a bit and go to dinner earlier, so that we can stagger the times? Li Dong looked up at Shwejiachi and said. Well, you have to consider all aspects of the problem. You can't think about it when you get there, that would be stupid. Shwejiachi said with a smile. Looking at Shwejiachi's mocking expression, Li Dong knew where the problem was. It wasn't that his itinerary was badly planned, but that he had just blurted out something that made Shwejiachi look bad. What are you laughing at? Shwejiachi saw that Li Dong had been staring at her, and her heart skipped a beat. Could it be that he had been exposed for taking revenge for personal reasons? Daughter-in-law, I want to say something to you. Li Dong came over and said with a strange expression next to Shwejiachi. I'm not listening. I'm tired and going to bed. Shwejiachi knew that Li Dong had figured it out, and cursed herself for being too pleased just now and acting too obviously. It's too late. Li Dong directly put his arm around Shwejiachi's shoulders, picked up the beauty's chin with one hand, and kissed the red lips in front of him domineeringly. Sometimes she herself felt very strange. Could it be that she liked the domineering Li Dong? A few minutes later, Shwejiachi blushed and said coquettishly, You're so naughty, you're the biggest scoundrel in the world. MMHM. Li Dong nodded with a smile, holding Shwejiachi in his arms, taking advantage of the situation. Tell me honestly, was that on purpose just now? Shwejiachi blushed, twisted Li Dong's ear, and said coquettishly. What? Li Dong asked, acting like an idiot. What did you say? Shwejiachi said, embarrassed. Daughter-in-law, are you referring to the way you just addressed me? Li Dong pretended to be dumb. Aha! Shwejiachi was so ashamed that she wanted to strangle Li Dong. Looking at such an honest person, she never expected that he was actually full of bad intentions. It may be that my heart is deeply concerned about you, and even when doing the most enjoyable thing, I still can't forget that label that will never be erased from my life. Li Dong said nonsense with a straight face. Stop it. Next time you call me that again, I'll kick the shit out of you. Shwejiachi threatened. Yes, I promise I won't do it next time, my good wife. Li Dong said with a smile, and kissed Shwejiachi's lips hard, which made the beauty throw a few white eyes. Next time I won't do it? Why does this sound so awkward? You just bully me, a man bullying a pregnant woman every day. Shwejiachi said with a pout and a pitiful look. I promise I will only bully you for the rest of my life, good wife. Li Dong said tenderly. Can't it be that you love me, but you have to bully me? Shwejiachi pouted. Loving you is to bully you, and bullying you is to love you, silly wife. Looking at Shwejiachi's seductive appearance, Li Dong embraced her in his arms, smelling the fragrance of her hair, which felt refreshing. Now she is enjoying the flirting with Li Dong more and more, and the wonderful feeling makes her very happy. Although she just said that Li Dong was bullying her, she herself knows full well that it is a fun affair between husband and wife. This kind of flirting can greatly enhance the relationship between husband and wife and make both parties more dependent on each other. Sometimes if Li Dong doesn't bully her a little bit every day, she will feel a little empty, as if something is missing. In Qi Xiaoxiao's words, this is called marriage before love.